All heavens sign in from Naruto, Chapter 481 to 500. Chapter 481 Master's Loneliness. Okay, let's talk about Aizen later. Yifeng put away the ghost and looked at Ichimaru Silver with a playful expression. Then now, do you think I should kill you or not kill you? It seemed that he felt the killing intent emanating from Yifeng. Ichimaru Silver felt a faint chill in his heart. Actually, what's the point of fighting and killing? How about making a deal with me? Ichimaru Silver put on a smile. Do not know why. Ichimaru Silver suddenly felt that Yifeng's killing intent was disguised. Oh, deal. What do you think you can give me? Yifeng touched his chin. He really wasn't going to kill Ichimaru Silver. Keep Ichimaru Silver. It might be useful in the future. Yifeng-kun, don't deny it so quickly. The thing I want to use to trade with you is the only way to crack Captain Aizen Kyoka Suzuki. Ichimaru Silver smiled. He tossed the chips in his hand. The only way to decipher Kyoka Shueyu. Yifeng shook his head and looked at Ichimaru Silver with a strange expression. When did you have the illusion that you have found the way to decipher Aizen Kyoka Shueyu? Yifeng's words fell. Ichimaru Silver's expression suddenly changed. There should be nothing wrong with this method. The situation was special that time, so Aizen accidentally revealed it. Said here. Ichimaru Silver suddenly became suspicious of himself. Because Aizen Sosuke is never careless. But this is the weakness that he did not hesitate to go undercover beside Aizen for 100 years, and finally, in a chance coincidence, Aizen accidentally revealed his weakness. Could it be fake? Do you really think that your acting skills lied to Aizen? Do you really think Aizen believed you? Do you really think your goal can be achieved? Yifeng looked at Ichimaru Silver and couldn't help but want to spoil things. However, Yifeng's seemingly random questions, but like a 9-day thunder, suddenly resounded in Ichimaru Silver's heart. What the hell are you talking about? I don't understand what you mean. Ichimaru Silver swallowed. Countless thoughts are spinning rapidly in my mind. Yifeng knows his secret. But how is this possible? He never told anyone his secret. At this time, Ichimaru Silver suddenly opened his eyes, revealing his pair of small, but real, emerald-like pupils. Mirror Flower Water Moon. If you know that you are in the mirror is not the mirror. If you know that Jinghua Shueyu has been activated, then Jinghua Shueyu is not Jinghua Shueyu. So, Ichimaru Silver had always thought that it was very appropriate for him to hide in front of Aizen. But who can guarantee that he didn't say anything that shouldn't be said in Jinghua Shueyu's fantasy? For example, sometimes he clearly thought that he was meditating in his heart, but in fact, what if it was a mirror that made him think he was meditating in his heart? If he actually told the truth when he was meditating. This is too scary. That's right, just as you thought, you are seeking revenge for the chaotic chrysanthemum, and if Dongxian is seeking revenge for his dead friend, so Aizen chose you are the pawns in his hands, and he is completely toyed with by him. A chess piece in the palm of your hand that you don't even know about. Yifeng said slowly. Impossible. It's absolutely impossible. Ichimaru Silver shook his head sharply, his eyes full of puzzlement. Why did he do that? If he really knew my intentions, why did he won't kill me? This moment, Ichimaru Silver actually believed Yekazi's words. However, if what Yifeng said is true, so what did Aizen keep an avenger by her side for 100 years? In pursuit of excitement. What a foggy grass this is. Be honest. Many of Aizen's behaviors are very strange in the eyes of others. For example, Aizen trains Kurosaki Ichigo to defeat himself. Another example. Aizen kept Ichimaru Silver, who wanted to take revenge on him, by his side, because he wanted to see how Ichimaru Silver planned to attack him. Another example. Aizen would rather be defeated by Ichigo than take Zanpakuto to Bankai. Although these behaviors may seem abnormal. But sometimes Yifeng can actually understand Aizen Soyusuke's actions. Because when a person is too good, he would have a very strong sense of loneliness. Just like the night wind. In the whole world, he is the only one hanging on the wall. Who can know such loneliness? Who can understand? Good thing it is. He can constantly travel between the various planes. Participate in one very different interesting story after another. If not, felt that if he stayed in the Hokage ninja world for so many years, his behavior would probably become as unreasonable as Aizen. After all, if you have too many days with a sister in your arms, you will get tired of it. Okay, I don't think I need to say anything more. I can give you a chance. You can go back and lurking beside Aizen, and you can cooperate with me when I need you to cooperate with me in the future. Yifeng thought about it seriously. He is not a person who likes to kill. So, like Ichimaru Silver can be killed or not. There is no need to be too serious. Yifeng-kun, may I ask, what is your purpose? Ichimaru Silver hesitated to ask after hearing Yifeng's request. You really have something to do with Yhwach. Hear Yhwach's name. Yifeng frowned. Yhwach, is this why Aizen wants to do something to me? Yifeng smiled indifferently and said, I have nothing to do with a pervert like Yhwach, and my purpose is yours too. There is no need to know, and you will not understand. Quote. This moment. Yifeng finally knew why Aizen was hostile to him. It turned out to be related to Yhwach. Such a pity. Whether it was Aizen or Yhwach, Yifeng never took them seriously. At this time, Ichimaru Silver looked at Yifeng with a dazzling gaze. But he couldn't see any truth or illusion from Yifeng's expression at all. Because Yifeng never plays. What he said was always the truth. Well, since that's the case, then I'll follow Yifeng-kun's arrangement. Ichimaru Silver sighed. This moment. He suddenly felt that the shackles he was carrying were much lighter. Dongxian is going to die. If you go back like this, Aizen will definitely doubt you, so, Silver, don't blame me next. After Yifeng finished speaking, he pulled out Goosh. Chapter 482_dating. Yifeng-kun, what are you trying to do? Ichimaru Silver watched the thunder arc jumping on Yifeng's Zanpakuto. The corners of his eyes couldn't help twitching. Hey. Okay. But please be gentle, I'm afraid of pain. Boom. Ichimaru Silver's chatter fell. A blazing thunder light has rushed out from Yifeng's blade. Gave Ichimaru Silver a full body slaughter. Of course. Yifeng's power was well controlled. Although it caused Ichimaru Silver a lot of internal injuries, the external injuries were not serious. If not, Ichimaru Silver couldn't hide it in front of Gote 13. Fifth Squad. Blue Dye Study. Ichimaru Silver dragged his injured body back to Saraiti. Silver, what's going on? Tell me the details of what happened, don't let go of any details. Aizen looked at Ichimaru Silver indifferently. To be frank, such a result was something that Aizen never expected. After all, with the strength of Ichimaru Silver and Tosenyao, how could they join forces and not be able to kill a Yamanaka Yakuza? But the result was right in front of Aizen's eyes. So, there are only two possibilities. The first. Yifeng was really strong to such an extent that Aizen could not even estimate it. The second. Ichimaru Silver betrayed him. The two of them killed Toshenyao together. Captain Aizen, this is what happened. Ichimaru Silver swallowed. He rarely saw such an expression on Aizen's face. He knows. Captain Aizen is really serious this time. Then, Ichimaru Silver described the whole process to Aizen in detail. Full of details. Of course. Except for the part of the dialogue between him and Yifeng. In other words, Yamanaka Yifeng deliberately let you go to tell me that his purpose has nothing to do with me. The blue eyes twinkled brightly. Although he is a brilliant conspirator. But he really couldn't understand Yifeng's move. Yes, Captain Aizen, although I don't quite understand what he's doing, that's what he said. Ichimaru Silver shrugged. According to Yefeng, no matter how Ichimaru Silver explained to Aizen when he went back, Aizen would not believe it. So, the best way is not to explain. Let Aizen be puzzled. So it is. Aizen raised Erlang's legs, held his cheeks with his left hand, and showed a rather complicated expression on his face. He finally felt a living opponent on the other side of the chessboard. Rather than playing against himself. Captain Aizen, Yamanaka Yekas can ignore Chingwu's ability to strip away the 5 senses, so you're Kyoka Suzuki. Will it really work on him? Ichimaru Silver asked. Hehe, although Jinghua Shuiyu and Qingchong both affect the opponent's 5 senses, but you don't understand Jinghua Shuiyu's power, it's not comparable to Qingchong. Aizen shook her head indifferently. Although Tosin to claim that his Zanpakudo clear insect after Bankai can deprive the target opponent of the 5 senses. But, in front of real masters, even if their 5 senses are deprived, they still have fighting instincts. In Aizen's view, Yifeng was the one who killed Dong Xian Yao with this instinct. And Jinghua Shuiyu's ability is a kind of complete hypnosis starting from the 5 senses. This is a very mysterious and complex power. And Aizen has also developed this power to the ultimate. Don't tell anyone else. Even if Aizen himself fell into the mirror, there was no way he could break it. This is an inexplicable trick. The next day, the news of Tosin's disappearance caused an uproar in Sarange. Captain Yamamoto was furious. He publicly reprimanded all the captains at the captain's meeting. After all, Toxian is the dignified captain of the 9th Division. He actually disappeared so silently in Sarange. Does anyone know where he went? If this is spread out, it doesn't matter if the truth is that Dong Xian is going to defect or that Dong Xian is going to be dead. Such a result is a great disgrace to Co Lingting. But Tosin wanted to leave Saraiti secretly with Ichimaru Silver. Not only did they have Aizen to cover them with Kyoka Shuiyu, but they were also wearing spiritual clothing, and they went to such a remote location. So, even though Captain Yamamoto had given a death order, he wanted the 8th Division to find out what happened. But that's also unlikely. Another half-month passed. No progress has been made in this investigation. No way. Finally, Dongxian was to be marked as missing by the 13th team of the Guardian, and Yifeng was temporarily appointed as the acting captain of the 9th Division. This incident made Yukitaki Shiruro feel a lot of emotion. Originally, he also hoped that Yifeng could join the 13th Division as an adjutant for him in the future. But look now. In the future, it is estimated that sooner or later, he will become the captain of the 9th Division. Level with him. The door of the 9th Division team house. Hey. Yamanaka Yefeng, since you have become the captain of the 9th Division, can you also learn from me, the captain of the 11th Division? Early in the morning, Zaraki Kenpachi blocked the door of the 9th Division with Kasuka Yachinryu. I want to find a night wind appointment. Captain Zaraki, Vice Captain Yefeng is only the acting captain, not the official captain. How can he be qualified to learn from you? Akaji 6E stood in the 9th Division with a bitter face in front of the team building. He bravely stopped Zaraki Kenpachi who came to make trouble. Although Yifeng has been appointed as the acting captain of the 9th Division. But the officers of the 9th Division still refused to accept Yifeng. And they became more hated Nightwind. After all, ever since Yifeng joined the 9th Division, the 9th Division has not been peaceful. And now, they even lost the captain of the squad. This is just too ridiculous. Boy, who is your special code? Are you qualified to be the captain of your family? Can you comment here privately? Get out of here. After Zaraki Kenpachi finished speaking. With a slap, the Akaji 4 seats fan flew out. There are no rules at all. How can this be a chairperson? If he was in the 11th team, this kid would have been beaten to death long ago. Yamanaka Yefeng, if you don't come out again, I'm going to force it in. Don't blame me then. Zaraki Kenpachi's voice fell. He instantly burst out with a shocking wave of spiritual pressure. The golden spiritual pressure rose into the sky. Directly rushed open the door of the 9th Division team building. This scene surprised the officers of the 9th Division. I have heard that the captain of the 11th team is very reckless. But don't be so reckless, right? Finally. Just when Zaraki Kenpachi was about to lose his patience, Yifeng finally walked out of the room lazily. Chapter 483 Yifeng vs Zaraki Kenpachi. Yifeng stretched his waist, glancing at Zaraki Kenpachi. Come in, this place is not a place to fight, go to the martial arts field with me. Yifeng said. Actually, as early as when Zengi Kenpachi entered the jurisdiction of the 9th Division, Yifeng had already understood the intention of Zengi Kenpachi. But, after all, everyone is now a person with a system. Is it really appropriate to fight casually? But, Yifeng also understood that Zengi Kenpachi was such a fighting maniac, and if he was targeted by this guy, it would be impossible for him to be safe. So, although it will be a little troublesome to fight, but this is also something that can't be done. Haha, finally willing to accept my challenge. Very good, you are more bloody than Dongxian. Zaraki Kenpachi smiled cheerfully. Not to mention the final result of the battle. Yifeng dared to accept his challenge. Zaraki Kenpachi's favorability for Yifeng has reached more than 50 points. Came to the 9th squad's martial arts field. Yifeng arranged for Hisagi Shubing to lead someone to reinforce the martial arts field with murderous stones. After all, a fight between the two of them is likely to have a big impact. So, still have to deal with it properly. Okay, don't be so troublesome, it's a big deal for the two of us to control the Reiatsu, can't we do it, do we need to be so slow? Zakagi Kenpachi said impatiently. Don't worry, little 8, Captain Yefeng is also trying to be more secure. Kaolu Bachinliu was sitting on the viewing platform drinking a drink, shaking her little feet, and she was very cute. That's it. Another half-hour passed. The martial arts field was finally arranged. Yifeng and Zaragi Kenpachi stood in the center of the martial arts field. Zaraki Kenpachi, let's make an agreement in advance and keep the Reiatsu within a controllable range. Otherwise, I will cause problems with my team. You can think about how the old man will be punished. Nightwind reminded. After all, he plays at home. Can't let Zakagi Kenpachi tear down his house for him. Don't worry, as long as I can enjoy it, I won't let go of the spiritual pressure. To put it bluntly, why do you think I took the initiative to put on the blindfold to suppress the spiritual pressure? There is no chance to experience the fun of fighting. Quote. Zanpakuto put Zanpakuto on his shoulder. No way. Zaraki Kenpachi is a fighting maniac. But his own spiritual pressure is too strong. If he does not wear this eye patch to control his spiritual pressure, he usually kills the opponent instantly. We all know. Second man is no fun at all. Okay, you can do it yourself, then let's start. Yifeng's voice fell. Gush was already in Yifeng's hands. At the same time, a majestic spiritual pressure erupted from the two captains at the same time. Before the two fought, Reiatsu took the lead in colliding, setting off a huge wave in the air. The wind was blowing into the sky. All unfixed tables, chairs and benches were blown away. Hit the murderous stone wall. Fallen to dust. This scene. It made the faces of all the officers of the 9th Division who were watching turn ashen. Ah, that's terrifying. Is that what they just said about controlling the Reiatsu? Are you sure you're not joking? Fortunately, their spiritual pressure is not aimed at us. We just sense the pressure generated by their spiritual pressure collision. Otherwise, it is estimated that we can be directly crushed to death. No wonder the commander-in-chief appointed Vice Captain Yefeng to temporarily replace the captain's post. He is really too strong. I guess Captain Dongxian doesn't have such a strong Reiatsu. Damn, what nonsense are you talking about? How could Yifeng be compared to Captain Cheng Dongxian? That's it. Just when the officers of the 9th Division were discussing in the audience, Zaragi Kenpachi had pulled out Zanpakuto in their hands at the same time. The two stepped down at the same time. The body rushed towards the opponent like a hayate. Then, the two strange-looking Zanpakuto finally collided. There was a loud bang. Ha ha ha, very good, very good. I am very satisfied with your speed and strength, Yamanaka Yefeng. Zaragi Kenpachi let out a wild laugh, and the sword pressure on the blade suddenly exploded. Look. He should have planned to use this knife to suppress Yifeng. But how could Yifeng be suppressed by Kenpachi? Just see. Lightning flashes suddenly shot out from Gusha's black blade. The power of Blue Thunder is incomparable. In an instant, Zaraki Kenpachi's sword pressure was entangled together. The two of them were like two beasts. Boom. A violent shock wave continued to erupt on the performance field. Subsequently, the two regained their distance. The next round of attacks began to brew. Tisk tisk tisk. Captain Zaraki actually used Reiki to forcefully counteract Yefeng's Vice Captain Zanpakuto's thunderous attack. This is too abnormal. Deputy Captain Yefeng is also very changed. He actually used lightning to offset the terrible Reiatsu of Captain Zaraki. This is not the same as the battle in my impression. Come on. What you think is not called fighting, it is called pecking between chickens. Yes, just like us. On the martial arts arena. Yifeng moved his shoulders and neck a little, and his face showed some satisfaction. In fact, Yifeng is just like Zengi Kenpachi. If they really go all out, maybe the battle will become very simple. But such a battle can be divided into life and death and victory and defeat. But it lacks the fun of fighting. That is a kind of helplessness that only the most powerful can understand. Just like Saitama-sensei. Perhaps. Only the mosquito that he could never kill would bring him a little joy in battle. Just now this level of spiritual pressure is very suitable, Captain Zangi, then I will suppress my spiritual pressure under this. Do you have any opinion? Yifeng said lightly. Okay. I'm very satisfied to be able to fight with this level of Reiatsu. Zaragi Kenpachi nodded. Their fight just now was actually mainly a kind of temptation. One is to test the strength of the opponent. Another is try to see how much Reiatsu they burst out so that they won't break through the control of the surrounding murderous stones. So, after drawing conclusions, two of them picked up Zanpakuto again and rushed towards the opponent. Clang, 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 clang. On the martial arts arena, Yifeng and Zaragi Kenpachi kept slashing at each other with their knives. Although it looks very straightforward. But they all brought their own understanding of knife skills to the ultimate. Just see. The ground of the martial arts field was cracked because of their constant flickering and moving. The shock wave generated by the collision of Zanpakuto even covered the surrounding walls made of murderous stones with scars. The battle is quite intense. Chapter 484 Mystery vs. Mystery. Tisk tisk tisk. Listen to what Ni means. They still control the Reiatsu. If they don't control it, how much will it become too much? That's right, I feel like the two-story murderous stone wall can't hold up anymore. If they let them go, they won't have to demolish the house. But it's not very scientific. It is so. It's inevitable to say that Captain Zaraki is strong, but how long has it been since Vice Captain Yefeng joined the Guardian 13 team? Why is he so strong? That's it. It's almost like it's on the hook. Yifeng's spiritual pressure entry is the captain level. This is everyone's consensus. But aside from the spiritual pressure, Yifeng's swordsmanship and shunbu are equally exquisite. completely got rid of several highways of their group of officers who have been practicing for decades or even hundreds of years. Throughout the discussion process, Hisagi Shubei, the former vice captain of the 9th Division, sat silently on the spot. Although he looked unmoved on the surface, his hands clenched his fists, and his fingernails were about to sink into the flesh. He originally wanted to overcome the pain, then work hard to improve, defeat Yi Feng in the future, and regain the favor of Captain Dong Xian. But it's okay now. His Captain East Immortal disappeared directly. Yi Feng also showed a formidable combat power that he was completely impossible to match. This moment, Hisagi Shuhei lost his dream in an instant. Ha ha ha, Yi Feng, you are very powerful, so powerful that I can't hold back my excitement, so for the next move, I'm going to use the profound meaning of my slash. It was rare for Zaraki Kenpachi to find an opponent like Yi Feng. The styles of the two are very similar. There are no skills at all, no secret tricks, just real slashing. It's all about speed, eyesight, and reflexes. So, although Zaraki Kenpachi restricted Reiatsu, he did not intend to restrict his moves. Okay, I just happen to have a trick here. To be honest, I haven't used it for a long time. Yi Feng said with a half smile. Come on then. Then, Zaraki Kenpachi let out a roar. He held the handle of the knife in both hands. With all his strength, he slashed towards Yi Feng with a knife. Kendo 2 breaks. The sound fell. Just see. A fiery golden reiatsu emanated from Zanpakudo of Zaraki Kenpachi. The spirits in the air were even burned by this power. This move is undoubtedly the strongest move of Zakagi Kenpachi. Cut out with one knife, everything in two. Face such an attack. Yi Feng also unhesitatingly launched the sword. Boom. The terrifying sword force embraced the powerful Reiatsu and the terrifying power of thunder and lightning, and faced the golden slash of Zaraki Kenpachi. The two collide. There was a deafening rumble. This deafening terrifying sound made everyone present couldn't help covering their ears. The terrifying wind pressure even made them dare not open their eyes. Wait until all the sounds fall. After the smoke and dust on the martial arts field also dissipated, everyone looked at them in disbelief. In the center of the martial arts arena, Yi Feng's black sword had already retracted its scabbard, and it still maintained its light-hearted appearance as before. And Zaraki Kenpachi still maintains the posture of holding the sword with both hands. But there was a trace of blood oozing from the corner of his mouth. Obviously, under the same conditions as Reiatsu, Zaraki Kenpachi lost. But Zaraki Kenpachi didn't feel lost because he lost. Instead, he let out a hearty laugh. Ha 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 ha, I actually lost this move to you. It's good, but it's not all my strength. I hope that one day, I can use all my strength to fight with you again. Mu Janpachi laughed heartily. Victory is not arrogant and defeat is not discouraged. This is the basic quality of a fighting maniac. He never cares about winning or losing. All he cares about is whether he enjoys the battle or not. Captain Zaraki, you are not bad either. I also hope to have the opportunity to fight you with full firepower in the future. Yi Feng smiled faintly. The loneliness of a master is always so similar. Although Yi Feng was suppressed by some special rules in the world of death. However, he has been promoted through hard work. But maybe it's because he works too hard. Caused his ascension speed to be too fast. He hadn't enjoyed the joy of pecking between chickens and he was about to be invincible, which made Yi Feng very distressed. So, if and when the spiritual pressure is the same. In Kendo, Zaraki Kenpachi couldn't even stop his words. The fun of fighting is completely gone. The sparring between Yefeng and Zaragi Kenpachi quickly spread among the Gote 13 teams. After all, it was the first time that Team Gote 13 had an acting captain like Yeka's. Many people are very concerned about Yi Feng's ability to hold such a position. But This battle has undoubtedly proved that Yi Feng has enough strength. Although he joined the Gotei 13 for a short time. But, in the case of equal spiritual pressure, he was even able to outperform Zaragi's sword in Kendo. So, no one will doubt Yi Feng's strength anymore. And Zaragi Kenpachi also said something. In the future, whoever dares to talk about Yi Feng's gossip behind his back will have trouble with the 11th division. ... Fifth Squad. After Aizen Soyusuke learned the news that Yi Feng defeated Zaragi Kenpachi, a meaningful look appeared on his face. Toxian is going to die. Aizen and Yefeng have met several times, but both of them met in public. So, it was as if the events of that day had never happened. It's as if Dong Xian wants to really just disappear by himself. They also kept their personalities intact as usual. Have to say, their acting skills are superb. Not only can he break Tosen's Bankai, but he also possesses swordsmanship that is no weaker than Zaragi Kenpachi. This Yamanaka Yekas really makes me feel more and more surprised. Aizen stood in front of the desk with a half-smiling smile, looking at Ichimaru Silver Road. So, in the face of such an opponent, what is Captain Aizen going to do? Do you want to avenge Tosen? Ichimaru Silver's eyes were smiling, and his mood was also smiling. Because the stronger Yi Feng showed, Ichimaru Silver's happier. In the past, Ichimaru Silver is also worried that Yi Feng will be manipulated by Kyoka Suzuki. But that night, Yi Feng was a little surprised after learning that he was in the mirror, but judging from his expression, he didn't seem to take it too seriously. So, Ichimaru Silver still pinned a lot of hope on Yefeng. Avenge Toxian. Aizen smiled indifferently after hearing Ichimaru Silver's question, and said, actually, death is also a kind of relief for Toxian, so why should we go too far? Do you care? Chapter 485 Aizen's new plan. Release. Ichimaru Silver smiled noncommittally and said, perhaps yes, after all, the justice that Toxian pursues is too illusory. Rather than disappoint him in the future, it is better to let him free now. Ichimaru Silver and Aizen are actually very thorough. Absolute justice does not exist. What's more, the justice that Dong Xian wants to pursue is still a kind of deformed justice. As the Night Wind said, it is enough to say that it is happy to be kind and grudge. Don't get caught up in justice. Because many things have two sides. Just stand on your side and let yourself be cool. As the old saying goes, in late spring in March, the sheep are happy and the grass grows, and the weather is freezing cold. Who feeds the wolves? People pity sheep, wolves are lonely, heaven is unpredictable, and the world is like frost. So, the wolf has the way of the wolf, and the sheep has the way of the sheep. Just a different angle. Yeah, it is also a kind of mercy to let him free. After Aizen finished speaking, she glanced at Ichimaru Silver secretly, and said, then, Silver, do you have something to free from? If so, remember to be sure. Tell me. Ah, I don't need the kind of relief from Captain Tosen. Ichimaru Silver narrowed his eyes and gave an unpredictable smile. Hee, of course, because you are my most loyal subordinate. Aizen also smiled. Aizen's smile was still as warm as ever. But, at this moment, this smile seemed extremely gloomy in Ichimaru Silver's eyes. Because, ever since Ichimaru Silver knew that Aizen knew his purpose from the very beginning. Ichimaru Silver talks to Aizen again. He could feel Aizen's sarcasm and malice at every turn. Have to say, this 100 years of time, Ichimaru Silver really had a bad time. Okay, let's go back to Yefeng. I'm going to test his upper limit of strength, so next, I need you to go out and help me arrange some things. Aizen said lightly. Oh, to test the upper limit of Yefeng. Ichimaru Silver's expression condensed slightly, and then asked, so, is Captain Aizen planning to take action personally this time? Ichimaru Silver was slightly startled. If Aizen wants to do it. Yifeng-kun is really Aizen's opponent. To know. Although Ichimaru Silver believes that Aizen's most feared ability is Kyoka Suzuki. But the blue dye without the mirror flower water moon is equally powerful. In the eyes of Ichimaru Silver. Although Yifeng is very good, he still needs to grow up if he wants to defeat Aizen. I still have a lot of important things to do. At this time, I'm not particularly convenient to shoot, but there will be other people who will help us test him. Aizen smiled. Although Aizen is extremely powerful. But he is not a person who likes to fight. His favorite thing to do is layout. Because he is a good chess player, not a chess piece fighting on the board. 13th Division. Kiraku Chunsui and Yukitaki Shuru was sitting by the pond in the courtyard. Enjoy the quiet time in the afternoon. Hey, Yoke's performance really shocked me more and more. He was able to defeat the fighting maniac Zaragi Kenpachi. Shuru Yukitaki threw all the fish food in his hand into the pond. All the spirit fish in the pond gathered in an instant. Very impressive. Yeah, I heard that they have restricted Reiatsu, and I don't know what kind of surprise this guy Yefeng will bring us if he turns on his firepower. Jingle Chunsui was lying on the reclining chair, basking in the sun comfortably, with a meaningful look on his face. Yeah, I really regret that I didn't draw him directly to the 13th Division. Otherwise, I would probably be able to live a semi-retired life. Shuru Yukitaki smiled faintly, and then asked. By the way, how is your 8th Division investigating what Dongxian wants? Dongxian wants it. That's really a troublesome thing. Jingle Chunsui sighed, a complex light flashed in his eyes, and said, however, judging from the results, it seems that Night Feng-kun is the only beneficiary of this incident. I really don't know if I'm overthinking it. That's impossible. I don't think Yefeng-kun is the kind of person who pursues status, right? Shuru Yukitaki frowned, thinking that Jingle Chunsui was definitely thinking too much. Maybe, but to be honest, the captain's seat of the Guardian 13 team has been stable for a long time. If nothing happened to Dongxian, Yefeng has enough strength, but there is really no chance for promotion. Jingle Chunsui said. How could it be? My physical condition is getting worse and worse, if Yifeng really has the ambition to become the captain. Given time, can I not vacate my seat for him? Yukitaki Shuru said. Although what you said is correct, Yefeng-kun doesn't know your situation, so things seem to be getting more and more complicated. 10th Team. Hitsugaya Tushiro listened to the report of the deputy captain Matsumoto Ranju to him. He shrugged nonchalantly. Although the performance of the Night Wind is outstanding. But what does this have to do with him? So, although Hitsugaya Tushiro was also a little curious about Yefeng's situation. But not particularly curious. But his vice captain Matsumoto Ranju was obviously very interested in a younger brother like Yifeng. Well, Captain, I didn't expect Yefeng-kun to be so fierce. I see the title of your little genius, and Yefeng-kun will soon be taken away by others. Matsumoto Ranju looked at Tushiro with a smile. I've never given myself the nickname of a genius, okay. That's what you guy insisted on calling me. Hitsugaya Tushiro glanced at his deputy captain with a speechless expression, and then sighed. Also, can you not dress like this, and then pose like this in front of me? At this moment, Matsumoto Ranju was resting his hands on Tushiro's desk. The body leans forward slightly. She didn't care at all that her wonderful scenery leaked out. Quite powerful. People are also very helpless. It grows so fiercely, what can people do? Matsumoto Ranju shrugged indifferently, and winked at Tushiro, saying. Also, Captain, although you look like a child, don't really pretend to be a child in front of me. Do you think I don't know what you did when you went to Liuhun Street in the middle of the night? ... Couldn't help but flip a Byakugan. That's right. although Hitsugaya Toshiro has a young and upright face. But, actually, Hitsugaya Toshiro is already an old man over 100 years old. Chapter 486 Nightwind's new mission. Over 100 years old and still in a high position. Such men generally do not suppress themselves. Not to mention, in the 10th division, there is a vice captain like Ranju every day, who dribbles the ball in front of Toshiro. People don't understand this kind of life. So, he also needs to be decompressed. And the place of Liuhun Street. There are a lot of places to unwind. For example, play football. Just when all the squads were talking about the Nightwind, Yifeng was worried. What kind of ghost mission is this? You even asked me to sign in a ghost place like the Great Wilderness. Seriously. Nightwing sighed. Not so long ago, Nightwind's system once again issued a new mission. The sign-in location for this mission is the Great Wilderness outside the Wooding River. About the Great Wilderness, Yifeng also learned a lot of relevant information after joining the Guardian Team 13. There are extremely chaotic spirits in the Great Wilderness, filled with desolate power. Although a strong person like Yifeng can survive in the Great Wilderness for a period of time, it is not a big problem. But that place in the Great Wilderness is not allowed to step on at will. If I knew earlier, I should have kept the spiritual mask that Dong Xian wanted, so that it would be easier to do a lot of secret things in the future. Yifeng touched his chin. It is not particularly difficult to leave Saraiti. Just explain the reason and report it. The big deal is to go to Liuhun Street to play ball. But it is a bit troublesome to pass through the barrier of the Great Wilderness. If the spiritual pressure breaks out and forcibly breaks through, he will be identified as a traitor of the Soul Society. But if you want to apply for a token that passes the Wooding River, he has to have a valid reason. But according to Yifeng's understanding, the 13th team of the Guardian has not applied to enter the Great Wilderness for at least 50 years. So, make up a good reason. So worried. After all, Yifeng is not a person who likes to talk nonsense. Just when Yifeng was troubled by the task. At this time, the first team's herald has arrived. Deputy Captain Yifeng, the chief captain called a captain's meeting temporarily. Please go to the first team to participate as soon as possible. The messenger respectfully said. Oh, what's the matter? So anxious. Yifeng raised his brows. I heard that it has something to do with the Great Wilderness, said the herald. Oh, Great Wilderness. Yifeng couldn't help touching his nose. Is God's will so good to me? People were still dozing off just now, so they arranged for someone to hand over pillows. This kind of life seems a little boring, doesn't it? But heaven and earth have the greatest task. It smells good and it's over. Yifeng explained the team affairs in the team, then left the 9th team, and walked towards the team house of the first team. Along the way, Yifeng met many members of other squads. Everyone greeted Yifeng positively. No way. This is the treatment of the strong. As long as you are strong enough, occupy the high position. There will be a lot of people you don't even know to show your favor. Only the street will be ignored. For this, the Nightwind has long been used to it. Deputy Captain Yifeng, your speed seems to be a little too slow. Just when Yifeng was about to step into the first team's jurisdiction, he suddenly heard a slightly cold female voice behind him. If Yifeng remembered correctly, the owner of this voice is the captain of the delicate and petite 2nd division. Broken Bee. Yeah, it turns out to be Captain Broken Bee. Yifeng smiled and turned around and said hello. Captain Broken Bee said I came late, but you didn't come here with me. Double standard. Too double standard. Obviously everyone is late. Why can you accuse me of being late? Is it because you are old? I'm not too small, okay. HMPH, I came late, That's because the second division has a lot of business, so I will naturally delay a little bit. But your ninth division should have no prisoners recently, right? Could it be that you are also busy with your team? Broken Bee glanced at Yi Feng indifferently. In Broken Bee's view, like the ninth division, the third division, and the fifth division, these three divisions have no intention of existing at all, they are completely retirement divisions. How can they be like their second team? You can't say that. It is also very hard work for our ninth division to manage the prison. If there is a chance in the future, I can show you the experience in detail. Nightwind shrugged. There are always some people in this world who always think that their work is the hardest and most tiring, and they always think that other people's work looks like oil. To this, Nightwind said, although what you think is right. But it's a bit too much to say, isn't it? HMPH, then hurry up, don't linger here. Broken Bee snorted coldly, as if Yi Feng owed him 8 million, and then used Shunbu to move towards the atrium of the first team. Go. Bingshan lowly, it really lives up to its reputation, and I don't know if it can change in the future. Yi Feng shrugged, also launched Shunpo, followed behind Broken Bee, and came to the venue of the first team. Enter the venue. Really? The captains of the other squads have already arrived. Broken Bee silently walked to his place, calmly glanced at Yi Feng from the corner of his eye. Have to say, the speed of the night wind really surprised Broken Bee. She herself is a captain known for Shunpo. But Yi Feng's Shunbu was able to catch up with her. Not easy. At this time, Captain Yamamoto saw that all the staff had arrived. He cleared his voice, stood up from the chair, looked around for a week, and said in a deep voice. Okay, now that everyone has arrived, then today's temporary meeting officially begins. Captain Ni Yuli, then it's up to you to explain to everyone the reason for calling everyone here this time. Captain Yamamoto's voice fell. The captain of the 12th Division, Namori, stood up from the team. A strange smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Captains, the Technology Development Bureau found some anomalies in the West 80 district this morning, so please listen carefully to the next thing. In addition to the 12th Division, it is the Technical Division of the Soul Society. They also shoulder the responsibility of monitoring the changes in the Soul Society. Just this morning, detected virtual power fluctuations in the West 80th district. This is not normal. Because the soul world should not have a virtual existence. Although the soul world was also invaded by the virtual 100 years ago, and caused problems with several captains. But, generally speaking, it is impossible for Shu to run from the virtual circle to the soul realm. So, there has always been a conjecture within the Gote 13 team. That is, there may be virtual existences in the Great Wilderness. Chapter 487 Great Wilderness Inspection Team. There is a virtual chaos incident in the West 80th District. The Shinigami who rushed over to investigate the cause did not find a virtual existence in Liuhun Street. This is even more abnormal. Because the void cannot disappear out of thin air. So, according to Ni Yuli's inspection of the Great Wilderness Barrier, he really found signs of invasion on the barrier. That is to say, Shu really came from the Great Wilderness. After hurting people on Liuhun Street, he escaped from the barrier and returned to the Great Wilderness. If so, then the investigation of the Great Wilderness must be put on the agenda as soon as possible. That's why the Captain-in-Chief decided to temporarily initiate a captain's meeting. Everyone must have understood the whole story. If Shu Zhen can survive in the Great Wilderness, then with the vastness of the Great Wilderness, it will sooner or later become the biggest threat to the Soul Society, so this old man wants to send someone into the Great Wilderness to investigate the inside situation. Quote. Yamamoto Motoyasu Shigekuni's eyes were gloomy. He can allow Shu to live in the virtual circle, and he can also allow Shu to occasionally make trouble in the world. But he absolutely couldn't bear to live next door to the god of death. Because the Great Wilderness is uncharted territory. Places like this, there must be no mess. Otherwise, It is very likely that it will bring very serious losses to the Soul Society. He must not allow what happened 100 years ago to happen again. Old man, you don't need to be so serious, isn't it just empty? Let me lead the 11th team to fight in, and promise to make them regret choosing to be neighbors with death. Zaragi Kenpachi let out a wild laugh. After all, he finally had another chance to kill reasonably. He felt as if his sword had not drank blood for a long time. Yahahaha, as a battle team, it is indeed the most suitable for the 11th Division to deal with emptiness, but the power of desolation in the Great Wilderness is too heavy. Ordinary players, even weaker officers, probably can't bear those full of emptiness. The barren spirits are invading, so I don't think it's appropriate to enter the Great Wilderness investigation this time. Quote. Jingle Chunshui took off the hat from his head. Sarote has wanted to explore the Great Wilderness for a long, long time. Even Yamamoto Yuanugai Shigekuni also once formed a team called the Great Wilderness Army. But the environment in the Great Wilderness is too strange. In the end, the Great Wilderness Army died, madly mad. In short, all of them did not end well. Even after disbanding, most of the death gods who had joined the Great Wilderness Army also had ominous old age. So, Jingle Chunshui's suggestion is right. The Great Wilderness must not allow ordinary death gods to set foot. The opinion of this old man is the same as that of the leader of the Jing band. Therefore, Captain Zaraki can enter the Great Wilderness, but only you can enter the 11th team. Of course, besides you, this old man needs 2 captains to enter together. I don't know which 2 captains have this interest. Captain Yamamoto narrowed his eyes slightly. This mission is indeed dangerous. But no matter how dangerous the mission, someone has to carry it out. Captain, since the situation in the Great Wilderness is unknown, it can also be understood that this is a task of infiltrating and spying, so let me go. The captain of the 2nd Division, Broken B, took a step forward and volunteered. The 2nd Division is a stealth mobile team. The tasks they are responsible for are usually such dangerous and secretive tasks. So, she did her part. BB Captain Grandmaster Shunpo and various reconnaissance and anti-reconnaissance techniques are indeed very suitable for this mission. Yamamoto Motoyanagi nodded with satisfaction, and continued to ask, and which captain would like to go with him? At this time, Yifeng took a step forward decisively and said with a smile, Captain, leave the 3rd place to me. The commander-in-chief saw Yifeng actually volunteered to stand up. A surprised look appeared. Deputy Captain Yifeng, the Great Wilderness is an extremely dangerous place. Although your strength has been recognized by the old man, your experience is still lacking, so are you sure you want to go together? Captain Yamamoto's face, a rare look of relief was revealed. A motivated young man like Yifeng was the future of the Gotei 13 team. But the matter of letting Yifeng go to the virtual circle to perform the mission last time has made Yamamoto Motoryu Saijokuni a little scared. So, this time, he still had concerns. Captain, something like experience, naturally, the more you do, the more you can accumulate, so please feel free to let me join this mission. Yifeng said with a smile. Yeah, old man, Yifeng's strength is beyond doubt. I can testify to him and let him go with him, there is absolutely no problem. Zanaki Kenpachi laughed. Inside the Saraiti, Zaraki Kenpachi couldn't use all his strength to learn from Yifeng. But if you went to a ghostly place like the Great Wilderness, who can control them? This is... Captain Yamamoto hesitated again. At this time, Niyuli said, by the way, according to eyewitnesses, there is a phantom whose ability is to control ordinary souls, which is very similar to a god of death who escaped from a roundworm's nest 30 years ago, and that god of death it used to be the 4th seat of the 9th Division, so it seems really appropriate to let Captain Yifeng go. Hearing Nimeori speak, Yifeng couldn't help but glance at him. The last time I went to the virtual circle to sign in. This guy Niyuli secretly calculated Yifeng. Although Niyuli's plot can be regarded as a change of direction, it is convenient for Yifeng to go to the Great Void Forest to sign in. But Yifeng still intends to find a chance to settle this account with him. But now, Niyuli actually jumped out again and wanted to smack him. But, although Niyuli's plan was to let Yifeng face the danger of the Great Wilderness, but it can be regarded as helping Yifeng once again. That's good. Since that's the case, then Captain Broken Bee, Captain Zergi, and Vice Captain Yifeng, the three of you will form a team to go to the Great Wilderness. In addition, the captain of this operation is Captain Broken Bee. Captain Yamamoto is not a hypocritical person either. Since there are two captains who agree to let Yifeng participate in this mission, and Yifeng himself is willing to join, then he didn't need to stop Yifeng anymore. After all, geniuses who cannot stand the test are useless. After the candidates for the team are determined, Yifeng finally breathed a sigh of relief. At this time, the captain of the 4th Division, Mao Zhawali, stood up again and suggested, "Captain, there are many dangers in the Great Wilderness, why don't you let me go too? After all, if everyone is in danger, I can help them heal." Well, Captain Yamamoto hesitated for a moment and said, "Although medical treatment is necessary, if 4 captains are arranged to enter the Great Wilderness at the same time, the impact on the 13th team of the Guardian will be too great. Is it okay for the Vice Captain Toru Yuyan to go?" Chapter 488_Chamomile and Broken Bee. Youngyun's words. Ujawali thought for a while, then shook her head and said, "Although Youngyun is very good, her spiritual pressure is relatively ordinary and her fighting ability is weak, so I'm afraid she can't execute it well. Such a task." Quote. Toru Yuyan is also an experienced vice captain. But the 4th Division is the medical division after all. Aside from Ujawali himself, the rest of the vice captains, whether they were officers, were weak in combat ability. Then let Ranju go with her. She's not weak, and she is a Grandmaster Ghost, and she knows a little about Huidao, so she can play the role of a nurse, Hitsugaya Toshiro said. Matsumoto Ranju is a relatively balanced vice captain. The overall combat power is not weak. So, Hitsugaya Toshiro made this suggestion. To this, Captain Yamamoto nodded. "Okay, that's all for this time. Let's call it quits." After the captain's meeting is over, all captains have left the first team's quarters. The time of separation. Broken Bee left Zaraki Kenpachi, Yifeng, and Hitsugaya Toshiro alone. Captain Zaraki, Captain Hitsugaya, Vice Captain Yifeng, this mission is rather urgent, so it's not too late. I only leave you an hour to prepare, and then everyone gathers at Beta Iman. Is there any problem? Broken Bee looked at them coldly. Cut, it's just killing Shu, this is still a preparation. I'm going straight to the river now, you'd better not make me wait too long. Zakagi Kenpachi glanced at Broken Bee with disdain. He is dignified with swordsmanship. To accept the command of a lowly. This made him very uncomfortable. So, he wouldn't listen to Broken Bee's arrangements. HMPH, yes, but you are not allowed to forcibly break through the barrier. I will apply for a barrier card, and then take you all into the Great Wilderness. Broken Bee said indifferently, then launched Shunpo and disappeared in place. See this scene. Yekas and Hitsugaya Toshiro shrugged at the same time. Yifeng, these two people are too unreliable. After you enter the Great Wilderness, the safety of Luanju will be handed over to you. Hitsugaya Toshiro calmly analyzed and thought for a while. He felt that it was still dangerous to let Luanju enter the Great Wilderness. After all, although Broken Bee and Zaraki Kenpachi are strong, their behavior patterns are too weird. Or Night Wind performance is a little normal. So, Toshiro felt that it would be very appropriate to hand over the chrysanthemum to Yifeng. Then, Yifeng showed a sincere smile. Don't worry, I will definitely bring back the chrysanthemums from the Great Wilderness. Yifeng said, looking at Hitsugaya Toshiro with a half-smiling smile. After Yifeng and Dong Shilang separated, he also launched Shunpo and rushed back to the 9th Division. After a brief account of the team, Yifeng went straight to Beta Iman. Actually, just like Smash B said, the 9th Division really doesn't have any serious work. There's no one to supervise them anyway. The 9th Division was just like the Emperor in the prison. As long as things didn't make too much trouble, those prisoners were still very easy to manage. Come to Beta Iman. At this time, Matsumoto Ranju has been waiting here in advance. Deputy Captain Yefeng, your speed is so slow, people have been waiting for you here for a long time. With the night wind, Matsumoto Ranju rushed to Yefeng's side in an instant, and greeted Yefeng enthusiastically. Slow, isn't being slow, do you like fast men? Yifeng smiled. Started to look at the chrysanthemum. Matsumoto Ranju has long orange wavy hair, and is wearing a black Death Tyrant outfit, which is also covered with a peach Yui-colored shawl, and tied the side of the trousers into a bow. But the characteristics of clothing are not the biggest characteristic of Luanju. Her biggest feature is obvious at a glance. For this mature royal sister style, Yifeng said he liked it very much. Hehe, I didn't expect that Vice Captain Yefeng is very good at driving. You are much more interesting than Captain Hitsugaya. He is a boring guy. Matsumoto Ranju blinked. I really like Yifeng's driving skills. Ah, did I drive? I didn't. Don't talk nonsense, I'm serious. There was a smile on Yifeng's face. Being able to meet such an interesting royal sister as Ranju makes Yefeng feel that life has finally recovered a little bit of fun. Although the style of Rukia and Broken Bee is also good. But the character of the chrysanthemum is more likable. Hehe, the serious Vice Captain Yefeng, after we come back from the Great Wilderness, would you mind going out for a few drinks? Let me see if you are as serious as you, if you will mess around after drinking. Hehehe. Luanju is unwilling, showing weakness. He picked up the car. But to be frank, a girl like Matsumoto Ranju is at best just racing on words. If Yifeng's car really starts. Instead, she can't. After all, she has not officially driven a vehicle. Okay, Yifeng is preparing to continue chatting with Luanju. At this time, the leader of the 2nd Division, Shibi, who had changed into battle attire, appeared in front of them with a shunpo. Just leave it to me. You two are the vice captains of the Gotei 13. Can you please stop talking nonsense here? Broken Bee looked at them coldly. It stopped the painting style from developing in a strange direction. But this is impossible. Broken Bee couldn't stand someone else driving in front of her. Otherwise, she worried that her inner anger would not be able to be effectively controlled. To be honest, this is the side effect of having a band life. Broken Bee is actually a very painful girl. The character she is showing now is not her nature. So, for a girl who lives so hard, Night Wind thinks it will be necessary to intervene manually in the future. Along the way, under the leadership of Broken Bee, Yifeng and Ranju both launched Shunpo and followed behind her. But although the two did not delay their journey, the chat continued along the way. Yuhi's ears blushed when Broby listened in front. But this is also impossible. Long before Saifeng Yuan Yi had an accident, Broken Bee was a cute little girl. But after Yi defected, the character of the Broken Bee has undergone a dramatic reversal. This has become the iceberg goddess she is now. That is to say, she shut all men out at her best age. This girl's heart is actually not quite right. So, Broken Bee had a lot of opinions on Yefeng and Matsumoto Ranju along the way, but she didn't choose to interrupt them, but secretly listened to their funny talk. This feeling is actually very complicated. But fortunately, this time did not last too long. About half a day passed. They arrived at the Wooding River. Chapter 489 _ The style is starting to go wrong. Hey, the three of you, the speed is too slow. I've already cut a circle in the West 80 district. If you don't come again, the Ronin here will probably complain to me. Zaraki Janba looked at them with dismay. Just as Yifeng and the others were on their way. Zaraki Kenpachi has already cut down a lot of so-called masters in the 80 district. But these people are too weak. Not enough for him to cut at all. Stop talking nonsense, stand back, and let me open the entrance to the barrier. Broken Bee glared at Zakagi Kenpachi in annoyance, then walked to the barrier and chanted a spell. Mantras are verbose. It also sounds tongue-in-cheek. Anyway, the feeling to Yifeng is probably, 1 to 5 is 5, 2 to 5 to 10, 3 to 5 to 15. After the mantra is over, Broken Bee took out a white piercing card. A ray of light shines. Shrouded the four of them. Let's go. After entering the great wilderness, pay attention to use spiritual power to defend against the desolate spirits around, but remember not to waste spiritual power, and set aside enough spiritual power to support our return. Broken Bee's voice fell, and she took the lead in entering the great wilderness, acting very cold. Che, I'm so annoying, do I still need to reserve my spiritual power? Zakagi Kenpachi let out a disdain, and then he stepped into the great wilderness. Aiya, these two captains are really giving me a headache. Matsumoto Ranju shrugged and couldn't help but sigh. I thought that my own captain was already very difficult to serve. Did not expect. The captains of other families were even more eccentric. Don't worry about them, just follow me after entering the great wilderness. I promise your captain to take you back completely, Yifeng said. Yeah, then you have to protect me. After all, my position in this mission is to be a nurse. Luanju looked at Yifeng with a half-smiling smile. Don't worry, you've got plenty of milk and this position is a good fit. After Yifeng made another joke, he walked into the great wilderness with Luanju. Ding! It is detected that the host has arrived at the check-in location, and the check-in is now started. Please don't leave the great wilderness. Then, after a while of the daily countdown, the system sent a reward. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the check-in and getting the reward, Shunbu Ultimate. For this reward, Yifeng felt that it was actually just so-so. Although the Shunpo after Ultimate is faster. But it is nothing more than the same as Broby and Yaiki who used instant coax. Then his shaved Horaishin. After signing in, Yifeng began to look at the situation of the entire Great Wilderness. At a glance, the topography of the Great Wilderness is not much different from the desert area of the virtual circle. Everywhere is desolate. There is no life at all. But apart from these, the biggest difference between this place and the outside world is that the spirits here are full of weirdness. Just like what Yifeng knew before. The Great Wilderness is full of spirits filled with the power of desolation. In fact, it has a certain erosive effect on the soul. And around them, Yifeng can also clearly feel that there are many spirits surging everywhere. If the spiritual pressure is weak, it is estimated that it will not be long before he will die here. Hey, this ghost place is really scary. My captain even found me such a troublesome errand, so annoying. This moment, Matsumoto Ranju finally put away the playfulness on his face and began to become serious. Don't worry, just get closer to me, and I will help you resist the invasion from the outside world. Yifeng smiled lightly, and then released the spiritual pressure in his body, forming a special area that could surround Matsumoto Ranju. Tisk tisk tisk, Vice Captain Yifeng, how are you? You made this space so small on purpose. Are you trying to get in close contact with others? Although Matsumoto Ranju said no, but his body was very honest. By the night wind. To be honest, Matsumoto Ranju's Reiki is not bad though. But compared with Yifeng and the others, there is still a big gap. She still felt a little difficult in the process of resisting the invasion of these great wilderness spirits. So, save a little when you can. Since there was Yifeng to help her resist, she was naturally happy. Hey Hey, I said, what the hell is going on with the two of you? We're on a dangerous mission. Are you really okay with this? Zaragi Kenpachi glanced back at them with straight male eyes inexplicably. He looked at Yifeng. What's the fun in chatting with girls? What's the point of killing people? ... That's it. The four of them carefully probed for about an hour in the great wilderness. But they never found any abnormality in the great wilderness. I didn't even feel the presence of the air. If it wasn't for the 12th Division to find a lot of eyewitnesses. Broken Bee couldn't help but doubt the accuracy of the intelligence of this incident. It won't work like this. I think everyone should act separately. If anyone finds an abnormality, use the special contact device given to us by Captain Nee to notify others. Broken Bee stopped. On the one hand, she felt that it was too inefficient to explore like this. To be honest. Although the spirits of the great wilderness will not harm them in a short period of time. But, as the time goes, they still have to spend a lot of spiritual energy. So, working in the wild, efficiency is a very critical factor. On the other hand, now is the time for business after all. Broken Bee no longer wanted to hear Yifeng chatting with Luanju anymore. She can't take it anymore. Okay, I also find it boring to be with you. Zaragi Kenpachi shrugged, then looked at Yifeng and said, Yifeng, shall we go together? After Zaraki Kenpachi finished speaking, he winked at Yifeng. That means, go. Let's even find a place with few people to swing with full firepower. Stop hanging out with these girls. So boring. Captain Zaraki, don't you think it's a waste of resources if we go all the way? You'd better go by yourself, I'll just bring Luanju along. Turned over Byakugan towards Zaragi Kenpachi with a look of disgust. Are you messing with me here? Do multiple choice questions like this need to be asked? How could he choose between Matsumoto Ranju and Zaragi Kenpachi? Is he crazy? Do you want to be alone with Yifeng-kun in this desolate and populated place? But is this really good? I always feel a little inappropriate. Luanju gently covered her mouth and smiled. But, judging by her expression, she was completely shy, the kind that you refuse to welcome back. So, Broken Bee activated Shunpo and left the team, unable to bear it. For such men and women. She didn't want to listen to them for a moment. Then, Captain Zergi, we're leaving too. If you want to fight, let's talk when the mission is over. Nightwind shrugged. He grabbed Luanju's waist, and also launched Shunpo and left the team. Zaraki Kenpachi, who would get lost at any moment, was left alone, and was messed up in the wind. Chapter 490_Ronin Samurai. Quote. Deputy Captain Yifeng. How can you really do something to others? Matsumoto Ranju felt the strong arm on man's waist. Cheeks were suddenly yuhi. Neck is also yuhi. Yuhi even further down the neck. To be honest. Verbal driving though is nothing. After all, everyone is an old monster who has lived for so long. But, if any physical contact does occur, that's another story. So, Matsumoto Ranju panicked. As soon as she panicked, her heart beat faster. That picture. Like rolling hills. Like a river running down. This made Yifeng feel a little embarrassed. Then, he quickly took a few steps back. Pulled a safe distance from Matsumoto Ranju. But, because it happened too suddenly, Matsumoto Ranju, who lost the protection of Yifeng, suddenly felt the invasion of the outside world. She let out a scream. He fell back into Yifeng's embrace again. Deputy Captain Yifeng, please don't do this. Matsumoto Ranju showed a helpless look. Although generally speaking, some women may say no. But the body is sincere. But, Yifeng has a favorability system after all. So, he knew very well. Luanju really doesn't want it for the time being. After all, the family is still a big girl. Although there are more cars, But there is still some restraint. So, Yifeng only took a half step back this time, keeping a real, very safe distance from Luanju. Actually, Yifeng didn't mean to tease her just now. Actually, although the night wind sometimes seems to be a little out of tune. But, he is actually a very serious person. Although the plane of death is just a plane in the heavens in the world to Yifeng. Although the Gote 13 team was not that important in Yifeng's eyes. But, since he accepted this task, he must complete this task. This is how you can live up to your conscience. So, only then did he refuse the appointment of Zaraki Kenpachi, and left Zaraki Kenpachi with Matsumoto Ranju. In this way, both sides can concentrate on completing the tasks assigned by the commander-in-chief first. It's definitely not because Ranju is a girl. Big girl. Ranju, stop making trouble, we should do our job properly. Yifeng suddenly looked at Luanju seriously and said, the Great Wilderness is a very special place, and it is very abnormal to have a false appearance here. We still need to investigate it as soon as possible. Although Yifeng's spiritual pressure can resist the invasion of the Great Wilderness spirit. But, this near ultimate level Reiatsu still can't compete with this terrifying power of heaven and earth for a long time. Even the night wind. Nor can they stay in the Great Wilderness for a long time. So, they still have to hurry up and get things done with Luanju. Then, well, let's go. Matsumoto Ranju sorted out some messy clothes, and wrapped his fingers around the wave-like fever, feeling a little nervous. But, she believed that Yifeng would take good care of her. That's it. The Great Wilderness Expedition team was divided into 3 independent small teams. There is nothing special to say about Zaragi Kenpachi. After all, although this fighting maniac has high Reiatsu and superior combat power, he does not perceive the Reiatsu of the enemy. So, he could only walk around in the wilderness with his head sullen. About this point, everyone seems to have forgotten. Throwing such a Zakagi Kenpachi into the Great Wilderness alone, will he really be able to walk out alive? But, Zaraki Kenpachi himself did not panic at all, and continued to walk forward as he wished. No matter how you go, you get lost. Maybe fascinated and walked back. He decided to surrender himself to Providence. Broken Bee here. After she left the team, her speed was no longer hindered. Broken Bee used a high-speed shunpo to move quickly in the wilderness. Carefully capture the movements of Reiatsu. Finally, hard work pays off. It didn't take long. Broken Bee successfully discovered that there was a faint special spiritual pressure fluctuation in the distance. Although that doesn't look like a virtual Reiatsu. But in a place like the Great Wilderness, it is definitely an abnormal thing to have the spiritual pressure of living organisms. HMPH, you hide well, but don't underestimate the captain of the 13th team of the Guardian Court. Broken Bee let out a cold snort. Subsequently, she launched shunpo and hurried towards the target location. Really? In a dune. Broken Bee found a shadow lying on the ground. After 3 or 5 breaths, Broken Bee came to this strange shadow. But, what the Broken Bee found was not false. It was a wandering soul in a Ronin costume. At this time, the Ronin warrior was lying on the ground, his face turned dark purple, his pupils turned outward, and at first glance, he had been eroded by the great wild spirit. What's the matter with you? Why did you come here? Who caught you? Broken Bee asked, looking at the dying Ronin warrior in front of him. You, the captain of the 13th guarding squad. Help me. The Ronin samurai saw Haori, the captain of Gote 13 squadron, who was wearing sakube. It was like seeing hope. He desperately tried to get up. But there was simply no strength in his body to make him ride. Don't waste your energy, you're helpless, tell me what's going on, and I can give you one last ride. Broken Bee looked at the Ronin in front of him. Indifferent eyes. Absolutely no mercy. To be honest, the other party is nothing more than a wandering soul from the flowing soul street. As the captain of the 13th team of the Guardian, and the contemporary head of the Noble Bee family, Broken Bee would not care about the life and death of these Ronin at all. Not to mention, this Ronin has obviously suffered very serious erosion in the great wilderness. It can't be saved. No, don't, please help me, I don't want to die, I don't want to die yet. Although most of the souls in the soul world are people who have died once. But few people want to die a second time. Especially those Ronin who have been trained in the 80 district and have a certain combat strength. Isn't it fragrant to be happy and grudge in Liuhun Street? Why do you still have to go to the current world to take the entrance exam to be a migrant worker? So, seeing that Broken Bee didn't seem to have any intention of saving him, the Ronin warrior roared desperately, trying to grab the skirt of Broken Bee Captain Yuji. In the face of this reaction of the Ronin, there was a coldness in Broken Bee's eyes. She was about to take a step back, avoid the soulful dirty hands, and distance herself from him. But right now, this name, who looked at the dying soul, didn't know where to succeed. It suddenly exploded. One hugged Broken Bee's legs. Subsequently, boom! The Ronin warrior's body instantly swelled, and he let out a ferocious roar, and his whole body exploded. Chapter 491 _ Sea Extinguishing Void. Accompanied by the sound of an explosion. A terrifying spiritual turbulence swept toward the Broken Bees. Crap! This moment. Broken Bee instantly used spiritual pressure to form a layer of spiritual pressure armor around her body. At the same time, Shunpo was activated. Her reaction speed can be said to be very fast. But some of the blood that burst out splashed onto her legs. The desolate power contained in her blood was seeping into her legs. Broken Bee let out a soft groan. A cold sweat dripped from his forehead. It's so despicable to actually control these souls to self-destruct. Broken Bee clenched the Kiba pass tightly. Although she could resist this level of spiritual erosion, her speed of action was destined to be affected. And since the other party's sneak attack was successful, weakened the combat effectiveness of the Broken Bee. So, Broken Bee estimates, the Black Hand who was hiding behind the control of this Ronin should also be coming out soon. Danger is coming. ... Just when the Broken Bee was attacked by the enemy, Yekaz and Matsumoto Ranju also encountered an abnormal situation. Yefeng, can you feel it? It seems that there are emptiness surrounding us from all directions. There are too many. Matsumoto Ranju swallowed. He stopped cautiously. Although around them, the sight is blocked due to the confusion of the spirits, and the range that the spirits can perceive is also limited. But since Matsumoto Ranju can perceive the existence of virtual, that means that Shu is already very close to them. The same danger is coming. Ranju, don't panic, just follow me, I'll deal with the emptiness, you nanny, just pay attention to the milk. Yifeng smiled faintly. Although there are many virtuals who are approaching Yefeng and the others. But this point is far worse than the Great Void Forest. After a little while, all kinds of virtual roars began to get closer. According to the judgment of the chrysanthemum, there are more than 100 virtual heads approaching them. Another moment passed. There are already sporadic dashes that run relatively fast and are within sight of Yifeng and Luanju. But birds like this were knocked out by Yifeng with a single rush. These virtual appearances are disgusting. Matsumoto Ranju looked at these virtual appearances, and suddenly had a cold war, feeling a little frightened. The virtual look was originally hideous. Now, they were attacked in the great wilderness, and there were abscesses all over their bodies, which naturally made them even more terrifying. Yefeng, what should we do? We must not let them attack. If there is poison in their blood, they will suffer. Matsumoto Ranju frowned. His face was very solemn. As the vice captain of the 10th Division, She was originally not weak. If this is outside the great wilderness, Matsumoto Ranju is not afraid of being surrounded by hundreds of virtual heads. After all, her Zanpakuto Grey Cat has a very flexible group attack ability. But now the situation is very special. Judging by these virtual appearances, these phantoms are no longer normal. Judging from the liquid that Yifeng pierced through them with impact, their bodies erupted. Their blood is not normal anymore. So, if you let them get close and get their blood, the ghost knows what will happen. Don't worry, ugly guys like this, I won't let them come near us. Yifeng smiled faintly. Subsequently, a majestic spiritual pressure burst out from his body. Break it, ghost. Yifeng pretended to pour the spiritual pressure into the ghost. Subsequently, he pulled the ghost out. The azure blue spiritual power is attached to Gusha's blade. Pretended to be Zanpakuto Shikai. Ray comes. Yifeng's voice fell. He raised the ghost in his right hand. Boom. Just see. A blue thunder Jinchuriki column with the thickness of a water tank rose into the sky. Soar into the sky. The haze in the sky is directly torn apart. The whole world seems to be changing. The surrounding fog that could obscure the sight also disappeared in an instant. After clear vision, a surprised look appeared on Matsumoto Ranju's face again. Because she sees. There were more than a few hundred phantoms besieging them. But thousands of empty heads. And they all look very weird. Much like a biochemical warrior. That scene was so terrifying. Yifeng, they're about to rush over. What to do? Matsumoto Ranju was completely panicked. But, in the face of this terrifying virtual group, Yifeng just smiled faintly, and then spit out 2 words. Lay high. After the sound fell, just above the sky, countless thunderbolts exploded, and countless terrifying thunder Jinchuriki column fell from the sky and smashed into the virtual ocean. Boom boom boom. Every ray of lightning descended. There are a group of people who are ruthlessly crushed into powder. Although there are thousands. But Yifeng's thunder sea is more numerous. It only took 5 seconds to crush all the emptiness. See this scene. Matsumoto Ranju was completely stunned. She opened her mouth wide. It was as if 2 eggs could be put in at once. Yifeng, are you really just Zanpakuto's Shikai? This is too scary, Matsumoto Renki muttered. If the power that Yifeng has just shown is Bankai of his Zanpakuto, that Matsumoto Renku can also express understanding. After all, Bankai is Zanpakuto's ultimate power. That power is definitely not something that Shikai can match. In other words, a good Bankai can give Reaper a qualitative boost. What kind of ability can be said in the past? But just now clearly has no Bankai. In the view of Matsumoto Ranju's Zanpakuto looks like a simple Shikai. That's not Bankai's form. However, his Zanpakuto Shikai have such a shocking power. That's 1,000 falsehoods. Although those phantoms are not great phantoms, to destroy thousands of phantoms at the same time would require such a powerful force. This is simply more powerful than the power of other Bankai. Is this the true strength of Yifeng? Compared with Yifeng, Captain Hitsugaya is simply a stinky brother. In every way. The other side. Broken Bee has also been entangled with a large number of Ronin warriors who have been controlled by the virtual. In Broken Bee's view, although those Ronin warriors themselves are not particularly strong, but these warriors were completely controlled by the use of special powers, but temporarily gained power far beyond his own. Of course, such a temporary increase in power naturally comes at the cost of consuming their lives. So, under these circumstances, the role played by these Ronin warriors should not be underestimated. And because their will has been ruled, so even if they were hit by Broken Bees, not afraid either. Not afraid to die. Even From time to time, the Broken Bee encounters a Ronin that can explode. Very hard to beat. Chapter 492 Nightwind and Broken Bee merged. This self-explosive attack makes Broken Bee miserable. Because Bumblebee's attack mode is almost all melee bunt. Once the opponent blew himself up, Broken Bees are easily affected. And once she was eroded by the great desolate spirit in the opponent's blood, the strength will drop by a few points. It can't go on like this. We must find the people who are manipulating them behind the scenes as soon as possible. Broken Bee Silver Kiba bites. Zanpakuto Bee in his hand stabbed into the neck of a Ronin in front of him. The power of the law of two-hit kill is activated. But the other party exploded successfully again before dying. Boom. Countless toxin-filled blood splashed. Although Broken Bee avoided the main attack with Shunpo, there were still a few drops on his arm. You bastard. This style of play is so shameless. Broken Bee bit Kiba and retreated, trying to leave the battlefield first. But her legs had previously been attacked by toxins from self-destruction. The speed is greatly reduced. Although she was able to break out of the enemy's encirclement. But it was impossible to completely shake off the pursuers. Damn it. You can't use all your firepower in a ghost place like this. Otherwise, you won't be able to escape. Broby frowned more and more tightly. Because of the special nature of the Great Wilderness, Broken Bee must always use spiritual power to resist the invasion of the surrounding wild spirits. This is a very exhausting thing. So, Broken Bee didn't dare to release all its power. She must retain power that can be used against the forces of desolation. It is for this reason Broken Bees will fall into the downwind. Hey hey, lovely goddess of death, don't run away, come to our arms, we will take good care of you. He, that is, don't look at how ugly we are now, but we are very loving. Ha ha ha, we will definitely catch you and let the master eat you. Listen to these chaotic remarks made by the pursuers. Broken Bee's mood grew heavier. But she did not call Yifeng for help. Because Broken Bee thinks that she herself is difficult to deal with an enemy, so what's the use of the two vice-captains Yifeng and Luanju? It might even draw her attention. As for Zaragi Kenpachi, although Broken Bee has sent him a signal for help through the liaison device. But who knows if that guy will get lost. So, in Broken Bee's view, she is basically in danger right now. It's the kind that can be irreversible if you're not careful. However, just when she felt all the dust on Yifeng's side, the incident of Leihai destroying Qianshu just now happened. Although the distance between the two sides is very far. But because the momentum created by Yifeng's wave of thunder seas is too great. So, Broken Bee had already felt the spiritual pressure generated by the sea of thunder that Yifeng had erupted. This undoubtedly shocked her. Is that Bankai from Yamanaka Yeka's? How can it feel so terrible? When is he Master's Bankai? Why never heard of it? Broken Bee swallowed. She knew that this was not the time to get to the bottom of things. So, she was heartbroken. A rescue signal was sent to Yifeng through the liaison device. At the same time, Broken Bee bit Kiba and pushed the spiritual power in the body to ultimate. He rushed in the direction of the night wind. Yifeng was originally exploring the depths of the mysterious and unpredictable wilderness with Matsumoto Ranju. But suddenly, several shrill and eerie sirens sounded. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hear this strange sound. Chamomile frowned. Yifeng, what kind of ghost voice is this? Why does it sound so strange? Asked Luanju. Judging from the sound, this is the warning signal I set for help. Yifeng suddenly stopped. Signal for help? Why did you set such a terrifying sound? It scared me. Matsumoto Ranju shook her head. It was the first time she heard such a terrifying alarm sound. Yifeng did not explain much to Luanju on this issue. After all, This way of classifying alert levels by sound was learned by Yifeng in the world of Super Seminary. He thinks it's very scientific. So, still in use. It's the call for help from Broken Bee. It seems that she is in danger. Yifeng took out a fluorescent light instrument from his arms with a solemn gaze. The name of the Broken Bee is lit on it. What kind of danger is it that someone like Captain Broken Bee will take the initiative to ask us for help? Matsumoto Ranju swallowed. Although the chrysanthemum and the Broken Bee are not particularly familiar with each other. But, although the style of the chrysanthemum is different from that of the Broken Bee, all are women. Luanju naturally knows that women like Broken Bee are very arrogant. If Broken Bee can ask Yifeng for help, then she must be in extreme danger. The situation is urgent. It looks like we have to hurry over as quickly as possible. Yifeng's eyes narrowed. He glanced at Luanju, and said, but this is too slow, so you understand. No way. Although the night wind is very fast. But he couldn't leave Luanju alone here. Otherwise. What if the chaotic chrysanthemum is also in danger? But, because of the way of rushing like Yifeng and Luanju before, their speed will be limited by the speed of the chrysanthemum. So, if you want to be fast, according to middle school physics, Yifeng and Luanju must form a stable connection, so that the speed of Luanju can keep up with Yifeng's speed. Then, Yifeng-kun, don't be too rough. Matsumoto Renku frantically gathered the ends of his hair, and then Yuhi nodded with a sullen face. Obviously. She already understands. Yifeng-jan Ruanju has agreed to his request. He didn't speak any more. With a single hand, he grabbed Luanju's waist. Directly on the shoulder. Ah, Yifeng-kun, can you please not put my upper body in front of you? Otherwise, I feel a little wrong with this look. Luanju hugged Yifeng's waist in a panic, always feeling that the knowledge point here is a bit strange. After all, her mouth was already very close to some parts of Yifeng. Then, all right, Yifeng thought for a while, and changed into the posture of a princess hugging, but he hesitated again. Ranju, this is not very good, I feel a little lost, still just like that. Then, in order to prevent Yifeng from doing any wrathful things, he hung the chrysanthemum on his shoulders again. Left hand on top. Holding the chrysanthemum, he launched a high-speed shunbu. ... It didn't take long. Yifeng finally brought Luanju and Broken Bee together successfully. At this time, the chrysanthemum was hanging on Yifeng's body. The upper body swayed back and forth regularly with the gap between Yifeng's instant step. This scene. Let the Broken Bee look a little bit stuffed. It's time for this kind of thing. How dare you play so big? The time everyone was apart. What the hell are you doing? Chapter 493 Yifeng, who is good at all kinds of bondage. Captain Broken Bee, are you injured? Yifeng stopped in front of Broken Bee in an instant, looked up and down at the injury on Broken Bee's body, frowned, and said, It's just because of the Ronin chasing in the distance. Can they hurt you? Yifeng expressed some confusion. In the impression of the night wind, Broken Bee is already the leader of the Guardian 13 team. So, with the strength of Broken Bees, how could it be so easily injured? Yifeng, don't be careless. These Ronin are all under the control of the enemy, and some Ronin can launch self-destruction attacks. I was under the other side's plot, and many parts of my body were attacked by the great wild spirit. Broken Bee biting Kiba, he said unwillingly. If it is outside the great wilderness, not to mention dozens of Ronin, even if the number was 10 times greater, she would not take it seriously. But here, she can't let go at all. I understand. Yifeng nodded, and put Luanju, who was a little dizzy from the panic and was about to foam at the mouth, from his shoulders. Lanju, please heal Captain Broken Bee first, and I will deal with these Ronin. Quote. Good. Luanju, who got out of the car, finally felt that her heart was beating less violently. She hurriedly launched a reply and began to heal Broken Bee. Yefeng, be careful, you have to find a way to find out the mastermind behind them, otherwise they will be difficult to deal with. Broken Bee kindly reminded. Well, I understand. Nightwing nodded. And then, the Ronin warriors really caught up. Yifeng used Reiatsu to investigate carefully. Except for these controlled wandering souls, he did not find any abnormality. Anyway, let's deal with these Ronin warriors first. Then, Yifeng slashed out. Dozens of thunder and lightning Kirin tore through the clouds. Version of Kirin developed by Yifeng, which combines the lightning special effects of Lightning Halberd and the ultimate trick Kirin of Uchiha's little genius. Also for this reason, these Kirins has increased, the power of the individual has also become stronger. If Sasuke is lucky enough to see it, he might give Yifeng an MMP. After Kirin appeared, they all slammed into the Ronin warrior. Although they are not afraid of death, it is unrealistic for them to want to follow Yefeng's Kirin 1v1. So, the battle was over in an instant. This is his Zanpakuto's group attack ability a little too strong. Broken Bee swallowed. Obviously, this scene completely shocked Broken Bee. Actually, Broken Bee is also very strong. But she is better at single-arm melee combat. Group battle ability is weak. At least it is weak for a player like Yifeng. So, she will be restrained by these special Ronin tactics. Yefeng, I don't think it's that simple. If the culprit is not found, I'm worried that there will be attacks. Broken Bee looked solemn. Although Yifeng had already killed the Ronin in front of them, they had never seen a real enemy. This makes Broken Bee always feel that the danger has not been completely eliminated. Yeah, Yefeng, I think what Captain Broken Bee said makes sense. We still have to find a way to find out what's behind the scenes to control them. Luan Ju nodded. What's going on behind the scenes? Yifeng touched his chin and said, the other party wants to control so many souls at the same time, so it stands to reason that they shouldn't be too far away from here. Yifeng's voice fell. He opened the eyes of the soul. From the perspective of God in the eye of the soul, everything becomes crystal clear. After some zooming in and out, after careful observation at various levels, Yifeng finally discovered the old yin who controlled the Ronin warrior. It was a white tiger head. He seems to have the characteristics of hiding Reiatsu, so even Yifeng didn't find him. But he was actually always beside Broken Bee. Then, Yifeng raised his hand a little in the direction of Broken Bee, and read the chanting of the 6th stand light prison. Hey, Yefeng, what are you doing? Matsumoto Ranju frowned. Obviously, he was a little puzzled by Yefeng's behavior. Bound Dao. Broken Bee also frowned at this moment and shouted, Yefeng, what do you want? To be honest, the Broken Bee is now injured. Combat effectiveness has dropped by at least half. Although Matsumoto Ranju was not injured, she was not as good as the current Broken Bee. So, from the perspective of Broken Bee and Matsumoto Ranju, what does Yifeng mean when he suddenly used a tie in their direction? Does he want to do something jealous in such a place? Seeking excitement. But, just when the two of them were thinking about it, the Hutu Shu, who was hiding beside Broken Bee, was already controlled by Yifeng's 6-stick light prison. Hutu Shu was bound by Yifeng's spiritual pressure. He lost his ability to hide and finally revealed his true body. Is this the virtual that has been manipulating those Ronin? Broken Bee finally looked at Yifeng with some moving. You just wanted to control him. This moment, Broken Bee's cheeks were slightly yui. Turn out to be. She even blamed Yifeng. But no way. Who made him usually like to say some nonsense? Even if he is actually an honest man. But it is normal for others to misunderstand him. Ow. After Hutu Shu was controlled by Yifeng, he let out a shrill howl, as if trying to break free from Yifeng's control. But this is obviously unrealistic. How dare you move? It seems that I am too gentle with you. Yifeng touched his chin. To be frank, if Yifeng hadn't planned to capture it alive, he would have chopped off this dude with a knife long ago. Then, Yifeng had to make up a few more sets of bondage. Like something, this rope, 3 flashes of mouth, locks and bars, and 9 luminaries are all arranged. The Broken Bee and Matsumoto Ranju who were watching were trembling for a while. Yifeng, this guy, why is so good at binding the way? Finally, under the efforts of the night wind, the tiger head was honest. After the Hutu shoe was dealt with, Matsumoto Ranju continued to help Broken Bee with a simple treatment. At this time, they finally remembered the 4th member of their Great Wilderness Expedition team, Zaraki Kenpachi. Speaking of which, I heard that Captain Zergi doesn't seem to have strong spiritual sense. Can't sense spiritual pressure, so he shouldn't get lost in the wilderness. Matsumoto Ranju asked weakly. To know. There is fog everywhere in the Great Wilderness. Visibility is extremely low. If you can't recognize the way through spiritual awareness, it's easy to go back. Broken Bee put her hands around her chest and her eyes were a little dignified. Although Zengeki Kenpachi's hair has a listening bell that can sense spiritual power, it can only sense a small range of spirits. It's just power, and in a place like the Great Wilderness, he may indeed encounter problems. Quote. Chapter 494 Zaraki Kenpachi who pits his teammates. Obviously, everyone ignored this question. After the Broken Bees entered the Great Wilderness, they left spiritual marks in many places to ensure that they could be returned to the Soul Realm along the same path. But Zaraki Kenpachi doesn't have this ability. So, what is he going to do? It seems that we were careless. Yifeng shook his head and said, let me look for it first. This was originally just an exploration mission. Result. The captain of the 11th Division of the 13th Team of Gote was actually trapped and died in the Great Wilderness because he got lost. Isn't this a mess? If so, the commander-in-chief is sure to freak out. Then, Yifeng immediately opened his spiritual sense. The spiritual pressure is released. Try to sense the whereabouts of Kenpachi Zaragi. But, in this great wasteland, after all, the perception range of spiritual sense is limited. Even though Yifeng's spiritual sense was already strong, he still couldn't find the whereabouts of Zakagi Kenpachi. Try the Eye of the Soul. Then, Yifeng opened the soul eye again. God's perspective appears. Yifeng has zoomed the picture to a certain extent. Finally, seeing that the picture is about to be zoomed to the limit, Yifeng finally found the position of Kenpachi Zakagi from the perspective of Soul Eye. Finally found him. You all come with me, Yifeng said with a sigh of relief. What? You were able to capture Kenpachi's spiritual pressure. Your spiritual sense is so strong. Broken Bee frowned again. When Yifeng was looking for Kenpachi Zaraki, the Broken Bee was also trying to find it. But, just like what Yifeng sensed with his spiritual sense, Broken Bee couldn't find Kenpachi's whereabouts at all. So, regarding Yifeng being able to find Kenpachi Zakagi, Broken Bee feels incredible. Because it means Yifeng's perception ability is even stronger than her 2nd Division captain who is good at assassination. This made Broken Bee never imagined. Whether I am strong or not, you will know in the future, Yifeng said casually, and then skillfully held Lu Anju on his shoulders, saying, we have to hurry up, otherwise, that guy Zaraki might not be able to. It's almost out of my perception. See this scene. Bumblebee frowned. But she also understood that it was impossible. If not, there is a very real possibility that they will lose their capture of the whereabouts of Zaraki Kenpachi. Led by the night wind, the three quickly approached in the direction of Zaragi Kenpachi. Matsumoto Ranju liberated the Zanpakuto gray cat and used the gray cat as a rope to lead Hutu Shu, just like a dog. An hour passed. Everyone finally found Kenpachi Zakagi. Have to say, Zaraki Kenpachi's luck is really bad. He walked all the way for a long time without even encountering an enemy. This made him, a fighting madman, almost bored to death. And when Zaraki Kenpachi learned what happened to Yifeng and the others, Zaragi Kenpachi expressed his envy even more. Yifeng, let's fight. In this place, we too can finally fight with all our strength. Zaragi Kenpachi looked at Yifeng excitedly, his face revealed a frenzied fight. Meaning, outside the great wilderness, the ability of the captain of the 13th team of Gote is to be controlled. Even in the martial arts arena made of murderous stones, the captain-level firepower could not be fully activated. But it's different here. This is the great wilderness. Everyone can play whatever they want. Who can control Lao Su? Ah, Captain Zaraki, it's not good to do this. After all, this is a big wasteland. Let's get out of this ghost place first. Matsumoto Ranju smiled politely and embarrassedly. It's all about this time. Captain Zaragi still wants to fight. Crazy. And this is a wasteland. If there is any problem with everyone, and they are attacked by the spirits of the great wilderness, it is not a joke. Lanju is right. We entered the great wilderness this time to find out what's going on here. Now, we've captured this ghost alive, and now the first task is to return to life. Broby frowned, and her voice was cold. Said a word. What? I'm so annoying. If you guys want to leave, why don't you just leave? I'll just stay here and fight with Yifeng. Zaraki Kenpachi raised his head indifferently. What he wants to do with Yifeng is a pure man's fight. You don't need a woman to be a spectator next to you. But, obviously, Yifeng was at odds with his thoughts. Captain Zaraki, Broken Bee has been injured. I have to escort them away. I don't have time to fight with you. Nightwind shrugged. Wouldn't it be nice to drive back with 2 girls? Why are you fighting a bad old man here? Am I crazy? Ah, how can this work? I rarely meet an opponent like you, and I won't let you go easily. Kenpachi Zaraki, and the corner of his mouth suddenly twitched, and he slashed at Shu next to him. Since everyone is leaving because of this weakness, then I will kill him first, so that we can all continue to stay here. Have to say, Zengi Kenpachi's brain circuit is still relatively strange. His knife shot up and down. Sure enough, he cut the virtual, who was dragged all the way by Matsumoto Ranju, into 2 halves. This coquettish operation directly made Broken Bee look stupid. She was about to scold Zaragi Kenpachi a few words. But right now, Yuhi-colored gas wafted out of the body of the slashed virtual body. Very weird. Oops, there might be something wrong with this gas. Be careful everyone, don't breathe it in. Yifeng's reaction was already quick. He instantly burst out a wave of reiatsu to disperse the surrounding gas. But, because it happened suddenly, Yifeng accidentally inhaled a little bit of Yuhi-colored gas. The situation of Broken Bee and Matsumoto Ranju is similar to that of Yifeng. More or less inhaled a small amount of gas. But, Zaraki Kenpachi took a deep breath without caring. Huh, it smells so good. Zaraki Kenpachi, Tai Hanhan, didn't seem to realize at all, how could the gas in such an ugly and empty body be normal? Then, after he took a few deep breaths, immediately, I felt a rush of blood in my head. The original fighting intent seems to have been enhanced dozens of times. His pupils turned into bloody Yuhi color directly, and he was incomparably monstrous. Come on Yifeng. Swing as much as you like with me. Looking at Kenpachi Zaraki like this, everyone frowned. Oops, Captain Zaraki is a little bit wrong. Yifeng, be careful. Matsumoto Ranju hurriedly reminded Yifeng. But then, she also felt that her spirit seemed to be in a trance. Chapter 495 Yifeng vs Zaraki Kenpachi. Although Matsumoto Ranju inhaled not much Yuhi-colored gas, but she was still somewhat affected. But it still can't reach the level of Zakagi Kenpachi. Ranju, you take the bees away first, and I'll take care of Tai Hanhan, Zergi. Yifeng sighed helplessly. What is this code all about? God-level pig teammates cheat people online. But now is not the time to complain about these things. Because Zaraki Kenpachi had already pulled off his blindfold, which was used to suppress Reiatsu. The powerful Reiatsu was released without hesitation. At this moment, Zengi Kenpachi was bathed in golden spiritual energy all over his body. His eyes were bloody yuhi, his mouth was wide open, his face was hideous, like a demon. So, Yifeng knew that this battle was absolutely unavoidable. He had to deal with Kenpachi's Akagi. Then, Yifeng pulled the ghost out. A knife slashed out. The terrifying thunder on the knife exploded. A thunderstorm pierced towards Zaraki Kenpachi like a mighty dragon. Ha ha ha, you are finally willing to do your best. Let me see your full strength. Zanaki Janba, who was in a crazy form, let out a burst of laughter. The terrifying Reiatsu within the body swept up again. Golden spiritual power flowed around him. It was as if a raging golden flame was ignited. Boom! Yifeng's thunder dragon approached in an instant, and threw himself directly on Zaraki Kenpachi's body, making a violent explosion sound. And the explosion sent a thick plume of smoke. But the smoke cleared. Zaraki Kenpachi showed signs of being burned by lightning in some parts of his body. But he wasn't seriously injured. Knew it. The smoke is not hurt, even if it is someone else at night, it is unavoidable. At this moment, Broken Bee and Matsumoto Ranju hid behind a small hill in the distance. They watched the battle between Yifeng and Zaragi Kenpachi. The mood is complicated. This is too scary. Captain Zaragi actually resisted Yifeng's Thunder Dragon. Matsumoto Ranki looked at them in a stunned manner, expressing that he couldn't believe Yifeng's fighting style. Zaraki Kenpachi, this guy actually used his spiritual power to counteract Yifeng Zanpakudo's attack. This guy is also a monster. Broken Bee's eyes were dignified. On the one hand, she was also lamenting the terrifying fighting style of Yekazan Kenpachi Zaraki. On the other hand, Broken Bee and Matsumoto Ranju have also inhaled some yuhi-colored gas from their incorporeal bodies just now. She is also worried that she and Ranju will also become a crazy monster like Zaki Kenpachi. If so, then they are in danger this time. Yo, Yamanaka Yekas, isn't your strength too small? How can an attack like this make me feel satisfied? Blood-colored yuhi light flashed between Zaraki Kenpa's eyes. Subsequently, he let out a sinister laugh, lifted the Zanpakudo in his hand, and like a whirlwind, he instantly rushed in front of Yifeng. Have to say, Zaraki Kenpachi's speed is very fast, but he is not using Shunpo, but the speed of his full burst is so fast. Swish! Cut off with a knife. The blade rubbed in the air with a harsh detonation. Boom! This knife has almost no skills, but under the action of the majestic spiritual pressure, the speed is so fast that it does not require any skills at all. Then, Yifeng immediately lifted Gui Che up. Clang! Zanpakudo of the two collided directly, and there was a loud roaring sound first. Immediately after, one after another terrifying fluctuations were centered on the two of them, and spread out layer by layer towards the surroundings. The momentum is quite terrifying. Ha ha ha, very good, such an opponent is worthy of my full fire. Zaragi Kenpachi let out a roar again. Immediately after, he waved the Zanpakudo in his hand and attacked Yifeng frantically. Yifeng also unceremoniously responded with Goosh. Both are fast. Almost too late to see Zanpakudo's shadow. Captain Broken Bee, is it really okay to let them fight like this? There shouldn't be any problems. Matsumoto Ranju swallowed. She was worried that Yifeng would be killed by the crazy Kenpachi's Akagi. Yifeng's strength has also reached the level of a captain, so it shouldn't be a problem. Broken Bee said solemnly. But Yifeng Zanpakudo is characterized by a group attack and is long range. In the face of an attack like Captain Zaraki, can he really hold on? Matsumoto Ranju said with a bitter face. Those two monsters. I have no way to stop them. I can only observe it first. Broken Bee shook her head, and then her expression seemed a little uncomfortable. She turned her head to look at Luanju and said, "By the way, Luanju, do you ever feel like something is wrong with your body?" "Well, it's a little. I feel like my body is a little hot and dry." Matsumoto Ranju tugged at the opening of the Death Tyrant, and had no scruples about this time, "and I still feel a little bit upset. How about you, Captain Broken Bee?" "Well, my symptoms are similar to yours, and I feel a little swollen." Broken Bee's eyes became more solemn, and said, "It seems that although we inhale less gas, it still has certain side effects." "No way." In order to forcibly maintain the high cold Yuji style, Broken Bee actually wore a girdle inside. So there is a reason for the swelling. The other side. Yifeng and Zaragi Kenpachi were fighting fiercely. The two fought each other. The shock of the collision even caused the ground to sink. Where they stand. Gradually, a large conical pit was formed. "Ha ha ha ha, Yamanaka Yifeng, your strength is really strong. You can not only keep up with my speed, but also resist my strength. Besides, finally there is someone who can please me again." Quote. Zaraki Kenpachi slashed heartily. Be honest. He really hadn't experienced such a level of combat in a long time. Zaraki Kenpachi, your Reiatsu is really strong, but your fighting style is too rough. I'm a little disappointed by this kind of battle. Yifeng shook his head. Although he also likes to go over with a knife at night. But if you can only slash with a knife, it's like sometimes, you only know how to use a gesture to slam. This seems exciting though. But it gets boring after a long time. Huh, disappointed. You're crazy, but I like it. Zanpakuto's spiritual power burned again, and his spiritual pressure surged again. Zanpakuto's offensive was like a stormy wave, trying to break through Yifeng's defense. But, in the eyes of the night wind, although Zengi Kenpachi's offensive has become fierce, he is still not enough to let Yifeng reveal his flaws. Chapter 496_something's not quite right. Over time, the two fought more and more stiffly. Yifeng is also about to get tired of playing. He swung Zaraki Kenpachi's long sword away with one knife. The two forces collided on the blade. A wave of air quickly spread around. There was a loud bang. The ground beneath the two of them collapsed again. Zaraki Kenpachi's expression finally changed. Because he felt an almost unbearable pressure from Yifeng's knife just now. Even the wrist he held the knife was a little numb. So that's your true strength. Zaragi Jien Bishui Yuhi's pupils exuded a terrifying exhaustion. To be frank, Zaragi Kenpachi had never felt such a powerful force before. Even for kendo masters like Yamamoto Yuanyugai Huikuni and Ujawali, the pressure they can bring to Zengi Kenpachi is also the pressure of their moves. But what Yifeng brought to Zengi Kenpachi was the pressure of the most primitive power. But this feeling of pressure excites him. Bang bang bang. Dang dang. Clang clang. Zengmu Jian became more and more brave in the battle, and the spiritual power in his body erupted unscrupulously. He didn't care whether he still had the energy to get out of this strange wilderness after such an explosion. Janba, it's almost done, let's divide the outcome for the next move. Yifeng said. Oh, one move to decide the outcome. It seems that you still have hidden strengths that you haven't used yet. That's great. Let me see all your strengths. Zakagi Kenpachi roared, the terrifying spirit on his body. The pressure continued to erupt. This moment, the blood in his pupils became more and more intense. There was a look of madness on his face. After all, being able to meet an opponent like Yifeng makes Kenpachi cherish very much. Even if he dies here, he still has to experience this incisive battle. Then, after a roar, the seemingly endless golden spiritual power in Kenpachi Zengeki burst out again. Spiritual power burns into a giant skull shape. Kenpachi's entire body was enveloped like an entity. Yamanaka Yifeng, let me show you my strongest stance. I have never used this defensive stance before. Zaragi Kenpachi let out a loud roar again. This move is materialized Reiatsu defense. It can isolate all attacks from the outside world. The outer wall of the skeleton is extremely hot, and once the outside attack touches, its spiritual child will be burned out. It can even compete with Broken Dao, 96 and 1 knife cremation. It can be said. Zaraki Kenpachi, who was able to force it, took the initiative to assume a defensive stance. This is already his biggest recognition of Yifeng. Zaraki Kenpachi faced this attitude. Yifeng calmly raised his hand and made a move. Yifeng didn't feel any pride at all because he was able to push Zanaki Kenpachi to such a degree. Because in Yifeng's eyes, Zaraki Kenpachi is very strong. But he is nothing but a powerhouse in the heavens and the world. If you look at the heavens and the world, Zaraki Kenpachi's combat power is not ranked at all. So, how could this possibly give Yifeng any sense of accomplishment? Then, just when Zaraki Kenpachi had just put on a defensive stance and was about to launch a second stage attack on Yifeng, Yifeng's knife had already stabbed into the skeleton defense of Zaraki Kenpachi. At the same time, the darkness silver feature is activated. Although Zaraki Kenpachi's Reiatsu defense is super strong, the sharpness of dark Su silver and the power of the night wind, the surface of the skeleton defense that has been materialized instantly appeared cracked like a spider web. Kenpachi, the outcome is already divided. Do you still want to continue? Yifeng looked at Kenpachi Zakagi, and said in a flat voice. What nonsense are you talking about? You didn't cut me. Zaragi Kenpachi let out a roar. Although his defense is about to be broken by Yifeng. But, in the eyes of Zaraki Kenpachi, it's not a win or lose. Only to defeat him. It's the winner. Then, Zaraki Kenpachi didn't care whether the skeleton defense in front of him would be penetrated by Yifeng. He held a knife in both hands. The powerful golden spiritual power burns like karmic fire. Kendo, 2 paragraphs. 1 knife and 2 pieces. Simple and straightforward. This is the strongest swordsmanship that Zaragi Kenpachi has learned. Although not long ago, Yifeng had already defeated this move of Zaraki Kenpachi. But, at this moment, 2 sections, under this kind of Reiatsu are completely different from the 2 sections of that day. Zaraki Kenpachi believed. Even if Yifeng can pierce his spiritual pressure defense and kill him next, he will definitely hurt Yifeng with this knife. He has taken this lose-lose style of play. However, at this time, the ghost in Yifeng's hand suddenly stretched out, not only piercing through the defense of Zanaki Kenpachi's skeleton, but also directly stabbing him in the lower abdomen of Zanaki Kenpachi, stabbed him directly, and let him fall to the ground. Big pit center. 2 paragraphs, are also cut in the empty space. PFF'd. Zaraki Kenpachi opened his eyes wide, spit out a mouthful of blood, his face was filled with incredible expressions, and the madness in his pupils finally began to gradually fade away. Your Zanpakuto, why can it stretch like Ichimaru Silver's spear? Zaraki Kenpachi fell to the ground weakly. That Yuhi-colored gas brought him has been completely vented with the end of the battle. He was content and curious. Captain Zangi, this move just now is my secret. I hope you can keep it a secret for me. Yifeng jumped to Kenpachi's side and made a brief inspection for him. Although Zaraki Kenpachi is completely powerless at the moment, there was blood oozing out of the wound. But, this feeling of powerlessness is mainly because he was attacked by the gas of the tiger head, caused by overexertion. As for the wound, Yifeng had already used Wei Dao to help him simply stop the bleeding. I believe that with Kenpachi's physical fitness, he should be able to recover in a short time. After dealing with Zakagi Kenpachi's injury, Yifeng was preparing to leave the pit that appeared because of the battle. But right now, another moth appeared. Yifeng suddenly felt 2 fragrant winds coming from behind. If Yifeng guessed correctly, it is very likely that Broken Bee and Luanju were also affected by the Yuhi-colored gas, and they were mentally abnormal and wanted to swing with him. Then, Nightwind turned to face it. Are two binding roads at hand? This rope is thrown out. Just see. The two rope-shaped light cords that the spiritual power turned into, like spiritual snakes, swam behind Luanju and Broken Bee in an instant, tying their wrists. Nightwind believes. The girl who is tied up must be able to calm down. But Yifeng obviously thought too much this time. Although Broken Bee and Luanju were controlled by Dao Dao's wrists, they still ignored it and slammed into Yifeng's embrace. To this, Yifeng frowned slightly. He carefully looked at the expressions on the faces of the Broken Bees and the chrysanthemums. Yifeng suddenly felt that something was not quite right. Chapter 497 _ The Power of Law. Looking at the two delicate girls in his arms, Yifeng frowned. Actually, logically speaking, those pink Yuhi-colored gas clearly only gave Kenpachi a fierce fighting spirit. But why did Broken Bee and Matsumoto Ranju produce a fierce fighting spirit? What's the point of this? Do you say? The effect of Yuhi color gas is not only to make people wild, but also to make people wild. That is to say, inhale Yuhi colored gas will completely release the madness hidden in their hearts. So, here comes the problem. He also inhaled some Yuhi colored gas at night. But why doesn't he have any special feeling at all? Could it be that? Is his heart so clear as water? What a fuss-free life this is. Yifeng-kun, quickly help others, you know Tilda. Bastard, what the hell are you waiting for? Come on. Yifeng looked at the different performances of the two girls of different styles in his arms. He sighed. To be honest, there are too many legendary stories in Yifeng's life. Like the current one, Yifeng has a lot of experience. So, how could he still not understand? Then, Yifeng slashed Kenpachi's neck with a knife in his backhand. Knock him out first. Then, Nightwing sighed. Hey, it's really good luck. I didn't expect you to be caught in such a plot. It seems that I can only reluctantly be honest. It's not that Yifeng gets cheap and sells well. Because doing certain things is exhausting. In other words, Yifeng's waist strength has always been sufficient. Otherwise, he had just fought so fiercely with Kenpachi. It's really impossible for someone else to save these two lovely girls. Then, next, a big Marseille law covers the entire pit. If someone is outside, it is estimated that he can only vaguely hear the voices of some demented girls that continue to come out. Absolutely can't see the picture inside. Only make up your own mind. That's it. 3 hours later, the law of Marseille on the pit has disappeared. The painting style in the pit looks like everything is normal. There's nothing wrong with it. As if nothing had happened. And Yifeng, who was holding a jug in his hand, sat calmly on the edge of the deep pit, looking at Luanju who was in the pit healing for Kenpachi Zengeki, his eyes calm. Yamanaka Yifeng, you can just treat it as a dream. After you leave here, you are not allowed to mention it to anyone. Not even in a dream. Do you understand? The Broken Bee, who had rearranged his clothes, stood coldly behind Yifeng. A breeze blows. The messy hair was like her messy mood. Cut constantly, the rationale is still chaotic. Okay, I understand why you don't keep your name when you do good deeds. Nightwind shrugged. He can really understand the feelings of the girls. After all, this time it happened without them willing. Although they are very open under the action of that gas. But that doesn't represent their true heart. At least according to Yifeng. Broken Bee shouldn't be that crazy, right? Even Yifeng was taken aback. So, Yifeng will not force anything. Anyway, in this plane of death, in the future, there is still time. Take it easy. So, Yifeng calmly drank the drink after the incident. After a while, Zaraki Kenpachi finally regained consciousness slowly under the treatment of Ranju. After waking up, Kenpachi Zengeki felt that his head was still dazed. What the hell happened? Why do I feel like I've been attacked? Zaragi Kenpachi rubbed his temples vigorously, not knowing who was so ignorant of martial arts. Captain Zaraki, you finally woke up. Matsumoto Ranju stood up, sorted out the big waves in his ears, and gave Yifeng a sneaky look at Yuhi's cheeks. Although they became distracted under the influence of external forces. But those experiences are real. Luanju clearly remembers every detail. That action. That voice. That one after another happiness. Although Luanju, like Broken Bee, expressed his condemnation of Yifeng's behavior. But Luanju felt that she might never forget this happy day. And she didn't blame Yifeng either. After all, who would have imagined such a thing? Yifeng is nothing but an innocent person passively helping them put out the fire. Since you're awake, let's go quickly, we should return to Siringte to return to life. Broken Bee gave a cold voice. This ghost place. She will never come back. As for those experiences, Broken Bee thinks she can forget all about it. Absolutely not a midnight dream. Hey, are we going to go back? But I remember that I had already chopped off the dummy. Do you really need to stay here and continue to catch one? Zaragi Kenpachi calmly analyzed, thought for a while, and said. Actually, I feel that the gas in the empty body is very useful. It can let me completely release myself and find my true heart, so do you want to look for it again? Zaraki Kenpachi's voice fell. Broken Bee and Matsumoto Ranju were shocked at the same time. They felt that Kenpachi's remarks were full of malice. Don't mention that kind of nonsense again. Shufeng shouted coldly. Let's go now. We have enough information about our master. Let's return to Saranjay first. Free yourself completely. Find your true heart. Bumblebee bit her lip tightly. This is impossible. That can't be her true heart. The real she is definitely not like that. Not before. Now it is not. Certainly not in the future. ... Evening. Sunset afterglow. The pale Yuhi color shines in the strange water of Wooding River. There was an air of mystery. Suddenly, the barrier on the indeterminate river was torn open. Yifeng led Broken Bee and the others out of the great wilderness from here smoothly. I'm finally back. At this moment, Broken Bee and Luanju once again breathed the normal air outside the great wilderness. At the same time, they had a feeling of being separated from each other. This trip to the great wilderness. They have experienced some things, but also lost some things. To discuss gains and losses. Really indescribable. Several people, should we find a place to sleep first, and then return to Jingling Court? Yifeng stretched his waist. Because a few of them are a little empty. So, all along the way, Yifeng was used to help them resist the erosion of the great desolate spirit. The night wind is indeed a little tired. So this requirement of wanting to sleep is not too much. But Broken Bee strongly refused. No need. Just go back to Saraiti with me and report to the Commander-in-Chief. Get some sleep. Although these are very simple and normal 3 words. But Broken Bee made up a lot of unhealthy content on its own. Chapter 498 _ It's all dry at night. Broken Bee glared at Yifeng coldly. Get some sleep. This soul pale really is the wolf's ambition to die. Subsequently, Broken Bee seems to want to use Shunpo to get out of here. But she suddenly felt her calf go weak. He fell into Yifeng's arms. Let go of me. Let me go. What do you want? Broken Bee let out a scream. She is like a rabbit whose tail has been stepped on. I want to break free from Yifeng's embrace. But Broken Bee was first attacked by the great wild spirit, and then experienced a hardy battle. So, she was able to hold out until she stepped out of the great wilderness to the limit. Where is the strength to resist the night wind? Shufeng, are you hurt so badly? You felt very alive before. Yifeng frowned and hugged Shufeng in his arms regardless, saying, then hurry back, alright. Let Captain Unohana treat you as soon as possible. Night Wind finished. He immediately started to hurry with the broken bee in his arms. Matsumoto Ranju and Zaragi Kenpachi silently followed Yifeng. Mixed feelings. Yifeng. Yamanaka Yekas. Just drop me down. Hurry up and drop me. Broken Bee struggled in Yifeng's arms. She slammed Yifeng with her small fist, but this kind of fist has long been sore and weak, and it is not enough to tickle. Bro, don't make trouble. If you make trouble again, be careful to beat Pee-Pee. Yifeng said inadvertently. But this threat sounded like thunder in Broken Bee's mind. Hit Pee-Pee. You dare. Broken Bee bit Kiba and stared at Yifeng with gnashing teeth. She is the captain of the 2nd Division of the Gote 13th Team. The contemporary owner of the noble bee family. Tianzhao among women in the soul world. And what about the Night Wind? Just an acting captain from Liuhun Street. How dare he say such words to himself? Then, Yifeng temporarily resisted Broken Bee on his shoulders. Snapped. Ah. And then, Broken Bee finally got down to it. Behind. Matsumoto Ranju watched the operation of the two people in front. The mood is a little complicated. Actually, Matsumoto Ranju also can't quite understand her feelings. A person she knew not long ago took something from her just now, but now, she feels sour because of him. Is this not right? ... Moon on the West Building. Yifeng finally brought the girls back to Saraiti smoothly. Then, they went directly to the 4th Division. Hey, Captain Zaraki, Captain Broken Bee, how did you guys get hurt so badly? Who hurt you? Could there be a tile-level emptiness in the Great Wilderness? Uno Hanaritsu quickly finished checking the injuries of Kenpachi Zaraki and Shibubi. He looked very surprised. Although Zaraki Kenpachi suffered a lot of trauma, there were only two most serious injuries. One is the abdomen and the other is the neck. However, although Zengi Kenpachi's injury is obvious, the problem is actually not big, and it can be treated with Huadao. The chief officer of the 4th Division can complete the treatment. But Broken Bee is different. Broken Bee's limbs and body are more or less contaminated with some special spirits that can only be found in the Great Wilderness. Those spirits have already invaded Broken Bee's body. Although there has been no obvious trauma to the Broken Bee for the time being. But if these spirits cannot be removed in time, it is definitely a very dangerous thing. What? How could I be cut by a spicy chicken-like shoe? Zanmu Kenpachi shook his head indifferently, pointed to Yifeng and said, it was all done by Yifeng, he is very strong, he really strong. Done. Zaragi Kenpachi grinned boldly. Although this time he lost to Yifeng. It failed miserably. But Zaraki Kenpachi didn't feel lost at all because of his defeat. Victory is not arrogant and defeat is not discouraged. That's called a fighting maniac. All he cared about was the battle itself. Instead of winning. Night Wind. After listening to Kenpachi's explanation, Mao Zhawali frowned. As the first generation of Kenpachi in the Soul Society, she is also the leader of Kenpachi Zengeki. She is very aware of Kenpachi's strength. Usually, Zaraki Kenpachi suppressed his own Reiatsu. So nothing can be seen. But in a place like the Great Wilderness, it is absolutely impossible for Zaraki Kenpachi to suppress himself again. That is to say, can Yifeng defeat the all-out Zaragi Kenpachi? This is too exaggerated, right? What about Captain Broken Bee? She was also injured by Yifeng. What happened to the two of you in the Great Wilderness? Ujawali turned to look at Yifeng, with doubts on his face. If Zaraki Kenpachi would challenge Yifeng in the Great Wilderness. This is understandable. Because Zaraki Kenpachi is a fighting maniac. But what happened to the Broken Bee? Is this also dry at night? Did they also have a hearty battle? Could it be that the little girl, Broken Bee, is also a fighting maniac. Actually, the situation of Captain Brokenbee is more complicated. Her injury was not caused by me, but because of. Yifeng is preparing to explain in detail. To avoid misunderstandings. But it was interrupted by Brokenbee without hesitation. Captain Ujua, what happened in the Great Wilderness? We will report to the captain later. Please heal us as soon as possible. Brokenbee struggled to sit up from the hospital bed, for fear that Yifeng would accidentally say something. Ujawali heard Brokenbee's request, nodded with a smile, and said, Captain Zaraki's injury is relatively obvious. But it is not difficult to treat. The vice-captain of Luanju has only some traumatic injuries. I don't know if it's a bruise that was caught by Shu, and the problem is not big. But Captain Brokenbee was eroded by the great wild spirit. How to remove it? It still takes a little effort. Be patient. Ujawali gave Brokenbee a thoughtful look. Her injury is special. Especially trauma on the epidermis. I don't know how those crazy shuis hurt her in those places. Isn't the pose too weird? Is Brokenbee's injury serious? Can the erosion of those great wild spirits be completely removed? Will it hurt a little? Yifeng asked with concern from the side. Don't worry, our technology is very advanced and absolutely painless. Ujawali covered her mouth with a smile, and then said, also, Yifeng-kun cares so much about Captain Brokenbee now. Yours the relationship seems to have deepened. Of course, the feelings we communicated deeply in the great wilderness are very deep. Yifeng nodded earnestly beside him. Yifeng, don't talk nonsense. Where did I get such a deep friendship with you? Brokenbee face a Yuhi. There is no silver 300 tales to say here. Although in a sense, everyone did have in-depth communication. But, in the normal sense, you don't have any friendship at all, okay. Chapter 499 _ Of course I know you have legs. The next day. The sun rises. Ujawali took Toruyangyan through the night, and finally completed the treatment of Brokenbee. The great wilderness spirit in Brokenbee has been completely removed. At the moment. Although the Brokenbee's body is still a little weak. But the sequelae are basically non-existent. Just go back and get some rest. Thank you, Captain Ujawa. You guys have been busy all night. Take a rest. Let's go to the first team to report the situation. Brokenbee expressed her gratitude to Uno no Hanalai. This wild trip. She really feels too careless. You're welcome, you can go do your work. Ujawali showed a sweet smile, then gave Yifeng a meaningful look, and said, Yifeng-kun, Captain Brokenbee has not fully recovered yet. You have to take good care of her. Ah, Yifeng was stunned for a moment, then said, oh, okay, you can rest assured, just leave it to me. Night Wind finished. He walked towards Brokenbee. It looked like he wanted to help her get off the bed. But Brokenbee hurriedly got out of the hospital bed. I don't need you to worry about me. I have my own legs. Broby said in a cold voice. Now that everyone has returned to Saraiti. So, naturally, she is still the cold 2nd Division captain. Brokenbee definitely doesn't want to have any physical contact with Yifeng again. To this, Yifeng actually wanted to say something. Of course I know you have legs, and they are still very white. Although it is not too long, the proportions are perfect, slender and straight, very powerful and memorable. But consider the crushing bee's favorability to him. Yifeng thinks it's better not to make it up. Then let's go, Captain Ujawa. Yifeng shrugged and said goodbye to Ujawa with a smile. Well, let's go. Maojawali also smiled, then quietly next to Yifeng, whispered, Yifeng Vice Captain, girls are different in appearance, but you still have to be responsible. Okay. To be honest, Maojawali is a doctor. She had already conducted a comprehensive inspection of Brokenbee that night. She had already checked out the many subtle changes in Brokenbee. So, what happened to a girl as cold as Brokenbee between Dawang and Yifeng? And from the inspection results, They played really well in the great wilderness. This is outrageous. ... Early in the morning. Most of the gods of death haven't woken up yet. Yifeng and his party came directly to the team building of the first team. After explaining the purpose, the staff on duty of the first team was shocked. Because, although Yifeng and Luanju do not seem to have any problems on the surface, but Broken Bee and Zaragi Kenpachi's leader, Haori, both suffered damage to varying degrees. And especially Captain Broken Bee. Her mental state doesn't seem to be particularly good either. His face was a little pale. It looks a little frivolous. So, what have they been through? It didn't take long. The deputy captain of the first team, Minister Jiro, personally ran out of it and took them to the captain's office of the first team. It didn't take long. Captain Yamamoto stepped out from behind the screen. Everyone, this trip to the Great Wilderness, did the investigation go smoothly? Yamamoto Yuanliu Saijokuni looked at them with a solemn expression and asked. Captain, we have confirmed that there is indeed a void in the Great Wilderness, and the strength of the void is not weak. Broken Bee replied truthfully. Oh, really false. Please explain in detail. Captain Yamamoto raised his eyebrows. Although the Great Wilderness is in the Soul Realm, the god of death cannot manage that place. So, if there really is a virtual existence in the Great Wasteland, the situation was really not optimistic. Then, Broken Bee reported what happened in the Great Wilderness to Captain Yamamoto. Of course, some key plots were naturally filtered out by her. After all, the captain is so old. Better not to provoke him. ... After Broken Bee finished reporting, Captain Yamamoto and Director Jiro looked at each other. They both saw complete surprise in each other's eyes. After all, both of them are very clear about the strength of Zaraki Kenpachi. And now, Broken Bee even told them. Yifeng defeated Zaragi Kenpachi in a state of madness. How powerful is he? Did Seo Lingting pick up the treasure this time? Deputy Captain Yifeng, you have done a good job in this mission. This credit, this old man will help you remember it. The captain looked at Yifeng with a look of relief and said. It's nothing, after all, I'm also a member of the Guardian 13th team. It's what I should do to help each other. Yifeng smiled. Expressed that he was very willing to help Broken Bee and the others to solve their troublesome problems. Just so helpful. Well, very good. Captain Yifeng is not only strong, but also calm, and he is not arrogant or impetuous. The future is really promising. The captain is very satisfied with Yifeng. After all this year, a humble and motivated boy like Yifeng is really hard to find. And, in fact, what Yamamoto Motoyanagi said just now is very obvious. In his mind, Yifeng already has the qualifications to become the captain. Just find a suitable time. He will appoint Yifeng. Chang Jiro, Captain Broken Bee, the information they brought back from the Great Wilderness is very valuable, and their efforts are also worth learning from all the captains. Yamamoto Motoyanagi Saijokuni solemnly looked at Minister Jiro and said, You go and inform now, let the captains of the divisions come here for the meeting as soon as possible. Yes, Captain. This moment. The corners of Broken Bee and Matsumoto Ranju couldn't help twitching. Their contribution is really great. The Commander-in-Chief's compliments to them also seem to come from the bottom of his heart. But why does it sound so weird? Then, the two of them silently and secretly glanced at Yifeng. This made Yifeng very depressed. He doesn't understand. Why are you all looking at him with those eyes? He is obviously brave, helpful, and selfless. A lot of effort was put into it. But why do people act like he made a mistake? Night Wind said. He is a very serious good man, cannot understand this prejudice. ... It didn't take long. The captains began to come to the venue of the first team one after another. Kiraku Chunsui just happened to meet Uno Hanaritsu and Aizen Sosuke at the door. Oh, calling us all over so early, the old man is like a chicken blood. Jingle Chunsui yawned again and again. Obviously. You can sleep late. But getting up early is definitely not going to work. Hee, the leader of the Jing band, as the captain of the 13th team of Godu, it's my duty to obey the captain's arrangements, so don't complain. Aizen smiled gently. It was as if he was a model worker in the Soul Society. Chapter 500_discuss. Hey. Captain Aizen said it so lightly. But what you don't know is that the concubine and Yifeng-kun stayed up all night last night, and they just fell asleep when they were called again. It's really a bit painful. Ujawali said, pain in his mouth. But there was always an indistinct smile on the corners of her eyes and brows. Just like the blue dye. They are people who have lived a long time. They seem to like to hide themselves with smiles. Yahahaha, it seems that Captain Ujawa is also very motivated. He can still stay all night. If it were an old bone like me, I would have died long ago. Jingle Chunsui shrugged. He also showed a smile that often hung on the corner of his mouth. No way, if it wasn't for Youngyun's help, I would have been smashed to pieces by Yefeng-kun and the others yesterday. Ujawali said with a smile. Hee, I'm really curious about what happened to you last night. Aizen Soyusuk laughed. Yeah, it sounds like it's funny. Jingle Chunsui laughed. What else could it be? It's nothing more than getting everyone together to solve their physical problems. Ujawali laughed again. Ah, physical problems. Shouldn't it be the kind of problem I thought? Jingle Chunsui laughed again. Hee, it's the kind of problem you thought. A few of them came back from the Great Wilderness and were injured a little bit. I was helping them heal yesterday. Mao Zihua said with a smile. So it is exactly what we imagined. Jingle Chunsui said with a smile. That's it. The three veteran captains chatted. He pushed open the door of the conference room and walked in. At this moment, there were only Yifeng and the others in the first team's meeting room. The commander-in-chief also went back temporarily to deal with personal problems. It's too early after all. Yeah, looking at Captain Broken Bee, you seem to have experienced a hardy battle in the Great Wilderness. After Jingle Chunsui entered the door, he saw the state of Broken Bee. Although he was a little puzzled, his face was still filled with a casual smile. Humph. Broken Bee snorted coldly. He ignored Jingle Chunsui. Obviously. Although Jingle Chunsui's statement seems to be correct. But it made her feel quite uncomfortable. Although Broken Bee feels that Jingle Chunsui's statement may have ulterior motives. But she has no evidence. Captain Ujawa, I'm so sorry for calling you again. Yifeng smiled and apologized to Ujawali. Hee, it's alright. Actually, I wasn't particularly tired last night. My body can still bear it. Mao Zihua smiled lightly. Do not know why. In short, as long as she talks to Yifeng, the smile that leaks from the corner of her eyes will appear more sincere. This task is really hard, everyone. I don't know if you called us here so early, but you have gained something in the Great Wilderness. Aizen Soyusuk pushed the glasses on the bridge of his nose. That's right. This time the moth in the Great Wilderness was created by someone Lan. The harvest. Yifeng calmly analyzed, thought for a while, and then touched his nose and said, to be honest, I have really gained a lot in the Great Wilderness this time, and a lot of things happened there that I didn't expect. Like. Yifeng. What happened in the Great Wilderness, the captain will explain to everyone in person. Don't talk nonsense here. Broken Bee hurriedly scolded Yifeng. She always felt that Yifeng had something to say. Very wrong. So. Broken Bee interrupted Yifeng's explanation directly. To this. Yifeng could only helplessly shrug. To be frank. The dewy feelings of the two girls have been received. Could someone gain much in the night? Can it be unexpected? The performance of Matsumoto Ranju is actually nothing more than that. After all. Matsumoto Ranju is also the same on the outside. But the contrasting performance of Broken Bee made Yi Feng very pleased. But that's not what he meant to say. All he wanted to talk about was the matter between Kenpachi and Zaragi. Why interrupt him? Then a few people chatted briefly. The captains of the rest of the squads finally began to arrive at the first squad one after another, waiting for the arrival of the captain. This time, because Matsumoto Ranju also participated in the whole process, so she also participated in this captain's meeting for the first time. Hitsugaya Tushiro stood beside Ranju, looking at her curiously. Hey, Ranju, have you been playing Chan all the time in this mission? I feel like you didn't contribute at all. Hitsugaya Tushiro glanced strangely at his deputy captain. He felt that the other people's Broken Bee and Zakagi Kenpachi seemed to be tired. But the chrysanthemum and the night wind seemed to be full of spring breeze. At first glance, it is useless. But Matsumoto Ranju completely disagreed with this. What is it, Captain? I have paid a lot for this mission. You won't understand at all. Matsumoto Ranju glared at Tushiro. She didn't do anything. Are you kidding me? She almost collapsed. Yeah, Captain Hitsugaya, Luanju has definitely worked hard in the Great Wilderness this time. Yi Feng stood beside them with a faint smile on the corner of his mouth, explaining to Luanju. Be honest. This time, Luanju has really used all his strengths. Absolutely no paddling. Yi Feng can testify against his conscience. Ah, really? Hitsugaya Tushiro raised his eyebrows, but he always felt that something was not right between the two of them. Then I hope you can make persistent efforts and contribute more to the Guardian 13 in the future. Don't keep thinking about fighting Chan Oil. Quote. Okay, Captain. Stop talking. You're just... I'm speechless. Matsumoto Rankuyuhi lowered his head with a sullen face. That is why Don't you mean that the story has been turned over? Why do you always feel like you're being mentioned over and over again? Can it still work? Finally. After a moment, Yamamoto Motoyanagi came out from behind the screen and sat in the seat of his commander-in-chief. Look up. Since the captains have arrived, today's meeting will officially begin. Yamamoto Yuanyugai Shigekuni put both hands on the cane. A pair of sullen eyes narrowed. Very seriously, I shared with everyone the information they brought back. After listening, the captains were stunned. Are there virtual groups in the Great Wilderness? How did they survive in the wilderness? Deputy Captain Yefeng lost thousands of heads in seconds by himself. Is he really that strong? There is actually a phantom in the Great Wasteland that has the three abilities of controlling the soul, hiding, and influencing the minds of others. And such an excellent material has been destroyed by you. You are really a waste of time.